At least it's not as at least
Good
it's
morning,
not as
Brooke.
dark and dreary as it would be in January.
That is a good point, David. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
At least it's not snow.
I was thinking that in the story yesterday. Imagine if this was snow. That'd be crazy. So excited that it's, everything looks super green, right? Our yard looks like a rainforest. That's what we decided yesterday.
Yes, it is very soggy, but very lush and green. And it's wonderful that we can't mow because now it does look like we live in a jungle.
I know the mowing's like, okay, there's an hour of sunshine. Let's go.
I know. But then I'm like, don't go out there with the lawnmower. You're going to get stuck and just create mud puddles.
I need a
Do any of you guys have flooding in your area, or
Oh yeah, I've
do you
heard my
have flooding?
sump pump.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just listen to my sump pump just continually
yeah.
build water, and I'm like, please don't lose power. Please don't lose power, because I will have a swimming pool in my basement.
We have a lot of flooding in Western Mass. It's taken out roads, everything. I've never seen anything like this.
It was crazy. I was showing houses on Saturday afternoon, and you heard the thunder in the background, and we said, let's walk around the outside because we know it's coming. So then it kind of held off, and then we went onto the deck and we started talking, and all of a sudden it was the biggest boom of thunder and lightning, and then the power went out in the house. We were showing, and I thought, and then it downpoured, and so we sat and talked. So, but the puddles on the ride home were crazy. So, and that was out in Charlton, Arthur. So pretty far out in Western, not totally Western Mass, but central Western.
It's a good excuse for a care call to the people in your database.
Yes.
How's everybody holding up? I love that. All right, so it is 9 o'clock. Brooke Silva, are you here with us all day, or did you come on to give us some special announcements?
I just came on to say hello, drop some fun links. If you don't have the growth call plan today at 2 o'clock, you need to, because it's all me and Erica, and we're giving away a mega camp ticket. So you have to be present to win. So if you are not on, you won't win. And if you already bought yours, we will reimburse it for you. So make sure to jump on to the growth call at 2 o'clock today also, so we can give you all the social media and fun stuff you need to get your social media robust. And let's see, so today you've got open houses. So you've got open house galoshes ready to go with Lorna and Maggie. You're going to have your rain gear. You're going to have everything going. So I put those links in. If you're not on the growth call Facebook group, go ahead and I will add you in this morning. Go ahead and request that. Same thing with the Ignite Facebook group and the YouTube for recordings. You can always replay these. You can look back at other ones, but these are all there for you to replay. So if you missed 5 minutes like Trevor did last week when he was out getting that listing, you can go back and replay it. So don't worry. So I see a ton of familiar faces. Hi, Lauren. Hi, Lauren. If you can throw your video on, we'd love to see your face. We would love to see your face this morning. I know Noah said he's having some camera problems, but when we go back to in-class learning, I think I'm going to buy everybody like black bags and just write in white font across it. So it's like we're on Zoom with nobody's cameras on. Like, so I feel okay coming back to the classrooms.
I can't wait to come back to the classroom.
Yeah,
I'm so ready.
I know. I've been in visiting a whole bunch of market centers in our region. If you're in Vermont, I will be up there the whole first week in Burlington, working with leadership and having some classes up there. But yes, I hope to see all your faces soon. Have a fabulous Ignite. You're in great hands today for open house stuff.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All right. So we are going to get started. So as Brooke said, we're talking about open houses. My name is Lorna Helms. I am with KW Boston Northwest in Concord and Lexington. I see a few of my fellow colleagues on here. And Maggie McDowell is joining us today as all things tech and helping you guys if you forget to mute, or if you raise your hand, or if you have any questions, put them in the chat. Maggie is a wealth of information and she'll be able to answer it for you, but please feel free to unmute. This is an interactive thing. So as Brooke just said, please put on your cameras. For me, it's a dreary Monday. And even though I can bring you all the energy in the world, no matter what, seeing your faces and having you interact, that's going to make this 3 hours go by way faster than if you are doing 5 other things before I see your face. So I challenge you all, turn your cameras on for this class. You will get the most out of it. We have Jen Giroux joining us. She was just logging in, so she should be joining us soon. And I'll let her introduce herself. Maggie, do you have anything to add to all of that?
I know that was pretty good. It was pretty good, but yeah, I mean, let's get excited on this Monday morning and let's get some learning done.
Awesome. Who has done open houses before? All right, so I see 2 hands. That's it?
3.
3.
4.
Oh, there you go. I saw Bill. 1, 2, 3. Yep. Alyssa, you did an open house too. That was her digital raising of hand. Thank you. And Nina. And someone just shadowed the first one on Friday. Awesome.
Nice.
Awesome.
I got my first 2 this weekend.
That's awesome. I love this. So open houses are amazing. So you will find that they are a great opportunity. So if you have not downloaded, I know that Maggie put in the chat the participant guide for today. So if you have not downloaded that, please do so now. Does anybody need Maggie to put up? There you go. Thank you, David. He's prepared. So she just dropped it in again. Having preparation, you need a notebook, you need a pen. We're going to be working hard today. And I am making sure Jen's all set. She said, hold on one sec. Maggie.
Yes.
Can you just help Jen Giroux get on? I don't know why she's having trouble getting on. She's saying the meeting ID is invalid. Can I just give you her? It's Jen Giroux at kw.com.
How do you spell Giroux?
Gero.
Gero?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just Jen with 1 N or 2?
1. So I told her you're emailing her now.
Yep.
How to get on because she's struggling. All right. So we're going to get started and Jen Giroux will be joining us in a little bit. Can everybody see my screen? I see Arthur saying yes. All right, so I'm going to tell you guys a little secret. When I share my screen, I only see like 3 or 4 people. So I need you to unmute and like talk to me. Does that sound fair? I don't hear any.
Yes,
For me.
that's fair.
Sounds fair.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you guys playing all in. All right. So what successful agents do every day, right? Grow their business and run their business. Have you seen this slide a few times at this point? Hopefully every day, right? So lead generate for buyers and sellers. Believe it or not, that is part of what open houses are all about. It's actually looking for opportunity and business. So what are the benefits? Actually, I'm going to back up for a second. I'm going to unshare for a second. I want to tell you why I love open houses. Would you be okay with that?
Yes.
So when I started, I think I mentioned last time that when I started in real estate, it was 1993. I was 24 years old. Nobody I knew was buying houses. Nobody. When I tell you nobody, it was nobody. But I needed to get business, right? So what was I going to do? I did open houses. Those were my favorite. They were my favorite because I could meet somebody face to face, talk with them, and get to know them and connect with them. So back in the old days, in 1993, we didn't have the internet. There was no way for anybody to find me. And that was the only way I knew, besides sitting on desk duty. Do you guys have desk duty at your office? No, you know why? Because KW knows that doesn't work. I used to sit and you know what I would do? Wait for the phone to ring. For somebody like to call and say, hi. Now back then, we were the keepers of all the information. We had it all in our hands. We had a big book. It was like this big, the whole entire little box screen right there. And it had all the information. So buyers and sellers could not find out the price of anything without calling me. But nowadays, what happens? Google, right? They can find anything they want. So we need to make sure that we are getting out in front of them as in many ways as we can. So I see my friend Jen Giroux on here. Jen, what do you love about open houses? And please introduce yourself, and you're muted.
Thank you, Maggie, for your help me getting in there. My name's Jen Giroux, and I have been in real estate for going on 4 years, and I'm in the Concord, Massachusetts office, and I love my job. And what do I love about open houses? I'm a social being, and it's my favorite thing to do.
And is it your favorite thing to do because you can talk with people and connect?
It's my
with
favorite
people?
thing to do because, every person that walks through the door is different. So it's interesting. Alyssa, that's on the call, was there with me yesterday, and it was pretty busy. And if some people you try to read, do they want to? You can tell that they don't want to talk to you. They just want to see the house, and you got to kind of let them be. And then sometimes when there's more than one group in there, you kind of want to make sure you connect with all of them. And sometimes it's not always possible. So for example, yesterday I ran outside because there was one group couple that I didn't have a chance to talk to, and I wanted to make sure that they didn't feel neglected. So I actually ran out there, and it turns out that they did not have an agent. And we talked. Thank goodness I had a helper there to cover the inside. And I was out there for about 10 minutes with them, and they had tons of questions. And it's just so I realized that it's important to make sure that you connect with everybody and just sort of respect where they want to be at the open house, whether that's just walk through and get the information, or if they want somebody to hold their hand and walk them into the basement and explain all the things that you know about the house. So kind of reading people is can be tricky, but also a fun challenge.
And so to that point, lead generation is open house is a lead generation tool. Would you agree with that, Jen?
Absolutely.
Right. It's a way to prospect. Is it just a way to prospect for buyers?
Heck no. Absolutely not. Alyssa and I were talking about this yesterday. The more, now that COVID is a little more gone by the wayside for the most part, of course, we still have to be safe. I invite everybody to the open house. So neighbors, you never know who's going to walk through the door. And often, so yesterday, for example, there were parents there that were looking for their daughter and son-in-law, and they're the ones that are going to tell them that if they like the house or not. So sometimes and they ended up hanging around, and they were very chit-chatty and talking to everybody else in the open house. But and she did say, thank you for answering these questions, because we're going to tell our kids that we really love this house. So my point is, neighbors come, they're basically just feeling you out to see how you behave at an open house, how much information you know about the house that you're selling. And that in fact happened on Saturday. So we'll see. It was somebody, I don't know if you want me to go into detail or not. No, okay.
No, it's okay for now. We're going to get to more detail. Don't you worry.
That's fine. That's what I was asking. Yes.
Yep. Okay. So mostly right now, I just want everyone to hear that opportunity at open house is an open house and I want everyone else to answer this. All of you who are in Ignite taking it right now. Is an open house just about selling the house?
No.
No. What is it about? I already gave
Promoting
Making
yourself.
connections.
lead generation, selling yourself, right? Getting connections with people, getting opportunity. So that is the main thing, right?
It's also about connecting with other agents that are there that you may not have. You never know who's going to put an offer in. You never know if your buyer is, if you make a connection with an agent that you don't know, it's always good. And you get to understand how they operate and learn how you want to act or not act. And that was pretty evident yesterday. There were a couple people that were interrupting while I was talking to other people, like agents doing that. And, you know, you can kind of learn from what others do that you don't want to do.
I love that. And just for clarification, Jen, you said how long have you been in business?
For almost 4 years.
And how
Going
many
on to
transactions did you do in the last 12 months?
24.
24. 24, everybody. She is in the top 10% of the office in 4 years. So remember last week when we had Amy Balowitz, same thing, right? You can be anywhere you want in 4 to 5 years. You have to put the intention out there. When I first met Jen, she said, I'm quitting my other job as soon as I get a transaction. A week later, she had a transaction and she had a job. And she'll tell you, she kept telling me, it's all luck. It was just luck. No, it's not luck. She told everyone she knew, including her neighbor who happened to be looking for a house, that she had her license. Everybody she knows. So pay attention to what this woman has to say. She's got it figured out quick. So
Oh, boy.
with that being said, the benefits of an open house, right? We just listed a whole bunch for you, but let's talk about that.
Lorna, can I just ask a question?
Of course, Nina.
Okay, so Jen, your first year, I mean, maybe this isn't what we're talking about today, so I'm sorry, and you don't have to answer it or whatever.
Mhm.
I would like to hear what maybe not right now, whatever, what your first year was like.
Ooh, that is awesome. Would you mind if we held on to that to a little bit later, and while we're on break, maybe Jen can talk about that a little bit? Would that be okay?
That sounds good. Yep. Thank
Awesome. That is such a good question too.
That's a really good question. It is, yes.
All right, we will definitely address that. So thank you for asking. So benefit of open houses, they are inexpensive. So when you're doing mailings and things like that, that costs you money, right? Open houses are typically your time, right? Especially if you're not the listing agent, it's your time. You get tons of exposure and high ROI, return on investment. You get qualified leads from one listing most of the time. We'll say most of the time, because sometimes open houses are used for people to get to know the market, right? They might not quite be ready, but what happens if they're not quite ready? We talked about this last week. You're filling your pipeline, right? So if they're not ready to buy for 6 months, that's okay. The fact is you're getting your pipeline filled. And it's a productive way to meet buyers and sellers. So let's dive in a little bit to the return on investment. What does that even mean when it comes to open houses? What do you think?
No money in, but big yield back.
No money in and big yield back. That's right. And thinking about if you were to put money in by Facebook ads, then how much do you think that you normally spend? Maggie, what would a normal Facebook ad through KW Command cost you?
You can do anywhere from $30 to $80, but 30 will get you lots of looks, honestly.
Yep.
Mhm.
Lots of opportunity. And, you know, one of the things that all of you have that I did not have way back in the day, the internet, social media, right? I would even challenge you to email.
Yep.
Email was just starting back then.
Lorna, how much did those advertisements cost in the newspaper?
Oh, they were painful. So first of all, I had to know the listing was coming on, and it would cost me like $150. The Globe was a little bit cheaper, but you can, the more lines you wrote, the more it cost you by line. And then half the time they would forget to put in like the time of the open house or
Right.
fine, because then people called me. But the fact is that I also couldn't control it. So if it wasn't my listing, I wasn't placing the ad, right? It wasn't my listing. Nowadays, if I'm hosting Jen's open house, I say, Jen, would you mind if I shared it on social media and spread it and did an ad and everything? And Jen's like, heck yeah, of course I want you to do that, right? More exposure. So again, just the difference nowadays to be able to share it throughout so many different ways with social media and with ads. I mean, it's amazing to me, amazing, right?
Stupid question, if you don't mind.
Of course.
When you do your Facebook ad, because Facebook and Instagram are the same company, does the ad go to Instagram as well?
In Command, you have to choose if you want both or just one.
You can choose how much ad spend you get in each platform.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Sure. Good question. Good question. So also thinking about that benefit of meeting buyers and sellers. Remember, we talked about National Association of Realtors profile of buyers and sellers, and 51% of buyers used open houses as a source of information in their home. 51%. That's crazy. And it's great news for agents, right? Because it's definitely a prospecting opportunity. So when we talked about finding buyers last week, remember, I talked a lot about open houses. Jen, it was very hard for me because I wanted to talk about open houses then. But now we can talk about it all day today. So just remind me, everybody, and I want to hear everybody unmute and tell me, what is your number one job in real estate?
Lead generation.
I only heard one person. Who
Lead
else?
generation.
Lead
Lead
generation.
generation.
Come on, keep going, keep going. Let's
Lead
get it.
generation.
Open houses, lead generation. Lead generation is the answer. That is right. And open houses is an opportunity to do that. So let's get back to our PowerPoint. If you don't know the answer, lead generation is always the answer. Maggie, I love that. She's so right. It's never a trick question. So any questions about the benefits? And so what happens if you don't have an open house of your own? I already gave you the answer to this too, but.
Just go and meet, the other agents, and you can still, with the permission of the listing agent, put an ad on Facebook.
So you can do an ad for them to help find buyers for them. Absolutely. You can host for them. And shadowing is the best way to start. Right. So for those of you who have shadowed, tell me what you learned when you shadowed an open house. Alyssa, I would tell you should probably unmute and tell us.
It's simple things.
I'm sorry.
Okay, who's going to go? Steven, you want to go first?
I'm sorry. I apologize for whoever I talked over. I was going to say a simple thing is I not going to open houses before. I didn't realize you should have something as simple as a sign-in sheet.
The sign-in sheet. That's a great one. That's awesome. I think Jessica was going to say something as well.
So in Mass, we have to bring our facilitator, if you're facilitating an open house, your sheet. I don't know about the other states.
Yep. You need to bring that. So that's a great learning lesson. And if you're a seller's agent, you should, in Massachusetts, you should bring in one that says you're a seller agent. Alyssa.
Was going to share something. Yeah.
So I went to Jen's yesterday, and that was my 4th time shadowing somebody. And it's just been really interesting for me because every person that I've done it with has done it completely different. And that's just been really helpful because obviously, like, I don't know my style yet. So it's been nice seeing, the different styles of the other agents. And like just seeing Jen's, like I picked up a lot of really good tips from her and how she handled, it was a very busy open house. And when there's one of you, just watching how she was able to interact with multiple people at once and talk to everybody that came in. So yeah, that was definitely helpful. So I would definitely suggest shadowing people that are different from you as well.
I love that observation. Trevor, you have your hand up.
I don't know how all the states are, but I know in Connecticut and Mass, I have to have somebody fill out the agency disclosure form when, meeting, talking about the property and meeting at it for the first time. So does that mean everybody that walks into an open house, you have to have them sign that?
No, so in Massachusetts, and this is in Mass only, for full disclosure, I don't know about the other states. You should check with your team leader or your PC, but there is actually a form that you just leave at the open house that says, this person at the open house is, if you're a seller agent, it says I'm representing the seller, and it's right near the sign-in sheet. It's just a little 5x7 tent card. If you're a facilitator, same thing. You're just having it right by this sign-in sheet. So that way anyone who comes in understands that. And it's really important for people to know that, especially if you are a facilitator in Massachusetts. And again, if you're not the listing agent, because what does that mean for the buyer walking in who doesn't have an agent and likes the house?
Sign them up.
It's an opportunity for you to get a client and for them to have representation.
Yeah.
In this day and age, in this market in particular, it's more important than ever for these buyers to have somebody on their side guiding them through the process, right? And they need to understand that. So that way, when you're introducing yourself, I'm helping out today at the open house. Let me know if you need anything. But knowing that you're not the listing agent, your name's not in the sign. So they could get representation.
So let's say you shadow somebody and the next day you're doing it by yourself, but it's not your listing. So is it the same form?
It's not a form. It's just literally like a little disclosure. I can pull it.
So it'd be the
Pull it right now, Lorna.
It would be the same.
Drop it in there. So you can use the same one. Yep.
You just gotta change it from designated agent to facilitator. Just the word changes in the middle there.
Yeah. And so what you want to do is, and this is what we did at our office, we actually made an open house kit. And I know I'm totally going off script here, but I'm going to just go down this road for a second. Is we had that form printed out with our names on it in little like frames. So I have a bin for open house, right? In my open house kit, you might want to write this down. It has extra sign-in sheets, right? It has a couple copies of offers packages in case somebody wants to write an offer. I have extra pens because pens sometimes don't work. I have booties. I have hand sanitizer. And I always had hand sanitizer, believe it or not, before that. I might be a little bit of a germ freak. I live with a germ freak. So I have hand sanitizer. I have business cards in there. Right. And that's kind of, let's see what else. And then tissues. Tissues are important to have in there.
First aid, little Band-Aid box.
Band-Aid
you never
box
know.
is good. I know that Kristen always had like little mints or something like that. So everyone has so many different things, but that kind of gives you the basics. Flashlight. Now I just was at this showing the other day. I think you guys all heard me say the power went out. So like a flashlight. Now I know we all have flashlights on our phone. Have you ever noticed that that's great, but not really as good as a real flashlight?
Yeah. Yeah. It's also safe to have a flashlight with you, a big heavy metal one, should you need, God forbid, be in a position that you need to use it as self-defense.
Yep. And
what's your offer package?
In my offer, well, so we have 5 states here, right? So I'm just going to tell you that I usually have a disclosure form, an offer form, a contingency form. And I'll always make sure on my own listings that I print out lead paint and they're at the house. But if not, and I'm hosting for someone else, I've printed some of those out. Seller's disclosure, if it's on MLS. So, but if you could just have the basics, if you have septic or well, so whatever forms you need from Dotloop, and that's just from doing it for a long time, we didn't have Dotloop. So I always had a file and one said offer forms and one said contingency form, one said lead paint. So I had all of it because that's what we had. I mean, I always had it in my car in a little file. just to have. But so you definitely want them because there are still agents. I've seen it. I've done it in the last 5 years where you're writing an offer in the back of the car. It does still happen.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And just another question. I'm from Rhode Island, and I'm new. And at open houses, should you really be collecting people who don't have agents? I mean, isn't it?
Heck yes.
You are representing the
Absolutely.
seller. You are representing the seller. And how can you really in good conscience represent the buyer's interest?
So
I mean, I know you can do a facilitator kind of thing, but really when the bottom line comes and the legal parameters are up and running, I mean, how can a seller representative represent the buyer's interests?
All right, so if you're asking if you are the listing agent, it's your listing, right?
Yeah.
And how could you represent buyers? So there's a couple things, and every state's different. So I'm going to say this was a broad stroke. Dual agency is legal as long as you disclose it. So if you
it's legal, but is it ethical?
It absolutely is ethical. So way back when, just going to go back 28 years, there were no buyer agents in Massachusetts. And in fact, many states did not have buyer agency. So everybody that walked into an open house, I represented the seller, whether it was my listing or not, but that's a whole nother confusing story. So I represented the seller, and the conversation I had with buyers was this: I represent the seller in this transaction. There was a disclosure, and in this transaction, I represent the seller, and I'm going to treat you honestly, fairly, and ethically. And so in Massachusetts, if a buyer walks into an open house, there's a couple choices. And Jen's dying to talk.
I'm dying to talk. Yes.
If they come into the open house, you don't actually have to represent that buyer. You can represent the seller and treat that person as a customer. That's the first thing. Everybody thinks they have to go into dual agency. You do not. The second part is you could be a dual agent if the seller has consented and the buyer consents and everybody gets notice. That is okay. And that's Massachusetts rules. You have to check your state. The third thing is, you know what? My seller wants full representation. And so I'm going to find someone else in my office to represent the buyer, and they'll write the offer. So there's 3 options for you to do it.
Okay.
Treat everyone fairly, honestly, and ethically. And you always come from that. You're never going to go wrong.
Okay.
Jen, what do you got to say?
Well, okay. So Rita, I think, okay, so let's say you were at an open house yesterday and you were the host or you were representing the seller. And so, for example, at the one I had yesterday, we had 18 groups that came through. So what are the odds of the person that is looking at this house that does not have an agent? What do you think the odds are of them getting that actual property?
More than half, I'm sure.
Not that great, really. I mean, we had 2 open houses that weekend. There were ultimately 30 people that looked at that house over the weekend. They're probably not going to, especially if they're new to the market, they're new to buying houses and properties. And if this is their first house and they don't even have an agent yet, they're probably not going to get this house. So I would, again, just since you're representing the seller at the moment, just get their information, find out kind of what they're looking for and how long they've been in the process. And then you just take it from there and you just keep cultivating them and getting to know them. And that's how you pick them up as a buyer.
So you just make them a lead. So they're just a lead for you.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Lorna's telling me to say yes.
Okay.
And Maggie McDowell wants to add in some things.
Yeah, I think Jen really nailed it on the head, right? I mean, I actually have a broker who refuses to do both sides as well, but that doesn't stop him from picking up clients, right? Because the open houses are for you to get buyer lead. Like there's we kind of already talked about it, but we don't really do it for the seller. We do it to pick up, for lead gen, to pick up leads. And you can help them because the chances of them actually buying the house are very, very slim, but they still need help. So you can still help them.
That's
and if
right.
they do, and if you really do have an ethical problem with doing both sides, that's okay. Just help them get to the next step, which is to get them to somebody in your office, and then you get a referral fee on top of it. So there's more ways to handle it. So don't let that scare you from going ahead and talking to everybody, because you certainly can. And like I said, if you have an ethical problem with it, that's okay. I know people in my office who are the same way, but at least get them to somebody you know who can help them. You get a referral out of it, so you still get
That's
a little
right.
piece of it. So
That's right.
and you pick up all the other buyers that aren't going to buy that property.
The other thing, Rita, is when I have an open house, I go into MLS the morning of the open house and I print out in the town that it's in every house that is also having an open house. And I print that out. And when they come in the door, I say, oh, I look at the ones that are similar to the open house that I'm currently hosting. And I say, oh, did you look at 171 Kirkland? And mostly they say, well, we were just there or we're heading there next. Because the other thing is I always try, before I set the open house time, I look at the times that the other competition in the same town is having their open houses, and even neighboring towns sometimes. In this crazy market, yesterday was probably this weekend was the first time that there was more than one house on the market to compete against. And actually, I knew it was going to be busy because there were 6 houses that came on the same day on Thursday. And I actually waited until I was the last one to post my listing so that I could research when the other open houses are. I did tweak the price so that we were the lowest price. It was only $1,000 and the seller was not that excited about it. However, it is paying off because every single person in that price point and above came to our open house. And it's just it's just being aware of your surroundings and other things that are going on in the town. And then it's opening a conversation. Oh, okay, so you went to 171 Kirkland. What did you think of it? I know it's a Cape. I, of course, looked at that house the day before. I made an appointment so that I knew my competition and I could speak to the house. And I didn't necessarily always have negative things to say about it. I just said, oh, it's a really nice house. It's in a neighborhood. What did you think of the 2 bedrooms on the first floor and the 2 on the second? You just you're asking them the questions and they're answering. And honestly, I said to someone, I really just want your feedback now that you've seen both houses. What did you think of the price? What did you think of this? And it's a whole conversation. I'm getting feedback from my client, and I'm also figuring out, am I going to get an offer on this house, or are they going to put an offer in on the other house? So it's just starting the conversation and finding out what's important to the buyer. And, there can be awkward situations with, if they want to put an offer in on your property. You can either do dual agency like Lorna said, or you can say, well, I have this awesome agent that's right next to me, Alyssa, that's here helping, and she knows the house. There you go.
Wow, that's a really good idea. I'm gonna have to remember that. A sheet that tells you, yeah, that's a great idea. I like that.
That's awesome. And that's what we're going to jump into right now, is preparing for your open house. Jen, did you read the material? I feel like you knew that. Oh, Arthur has a question.
David has a question.
Where did you say?
Go ahead, Arthur. Go ahead,
Where
Arthur.
did you say you found out about the other open houses? Do you find out about other ones on MLS or?
Yeah. So if you go into search in MLS, and do you want me to pull MLS up, or is that?
We have 5 states.
No, I've used it enough. I know.
All right. Oh, it's different states. Okay. You go into MLS and you just hit the town that you're working in, and it pops up all the listings. I print the listings out, and then it'll have the balloon for the open houses.
At least an MLS pin.
And MLS pin, you can actually you can just say, I just want to see the ones who are actually holding an open house too.
That's right. You can click on a little box.
I don't know
Just
about
play around with it. It's easier once if you're looking at it.
And for all of you, all MLSs have, I believe all MLSs have like little videos and little classes that you can take. So if you're not taking it in your market center, look at the MLS. They all have like tons of videos to watch to learn how to use the search capabilities better, for sure.
Also, who asked that question, I print out several of those, so I have more than one of those sheets. And sometimes if the people that came to the open house were not planning, I give them the sheet and then they go to the rest of the open houses.
That's very helpful. That really is very helpful.
They're appreciative of it. And then they're like, oh, do you have a card? It's right here on the sheet already. Just take the sheet and let me know how it goes. And then you might want to, the other thing that I do in the sign-in sheet, so here's an example of yesterday's sign-in sheet. If they have a question or if there's something that I want to remember about the client, I will write it in on their sign-in line, because I was talking to Alyssa about this yesterday. You think you're going to remember, oh, it's so-and-so, you forget. So don't write anything inappropriate, of course, on there. But because in your head, sometimes you're like, okay, short guy or whatever it is, but you don't do that on the sheet because other people are going to say it. Anyway, and then when I go home, I follow up with my notes here.
Awesome. David, what was your question?
Jen, when you're looking at other open houses in the same village or neighborhood, and you're trying to figure out what your times, do you bracket the times that other open houses are?
Yes, that's exactly what I do. Yes. So whatever the time is on Saturday. So oftentimes I'll do 2 different times on the weekend. So I'll do on Saturday, I like to do 11 to 1, and Sunday I like to do 1 to 3, because there are people that are on shift work and kids with naps and all kinds of, some people just can't, and soccer games and all the stuff that families and even non-families have. So I try to be respectful for different schedules. And oftentimes people will comment on that because they can't make one or the other. And also I always try to overlap my open house with others so that they can hit all of them.
Thank you.
Nina, what was your question?
Okay, so kind of unrelated again, but related. This is a buyer question. So if you're talking to a buyer, or a buyer keeps approaching you, and they're just short little, like you just keep running into this one buyer. It keeps approaching you, asking you questions, and they don't have a buyer's agent, but they're very reluctant to sign on. I mean, is it okay to just come right out and say, what is your reason behind that? Or is that just a little bit too forward? Is that, is it, I don't know.
Great question, because this literally just happened. So I mainly work in one town, mainly. I mean, of course I do others, but I've mainly intentionally done one town. So I would run into, and not necessarily my open houses, I would cover for other people. I met the same couple, I kid you not, probably 7 times. And they never signed in with an agent, and they were standoffish. They were just, I had no idea what their deal was, no idea. So, but I remembered all of their, from the one time they shared information to the next time, and I had a little notebook because I have my sign-in sheets, and I'm like, my God, they've been looking for 2 years. Finally, they live in Arlington, and they wanted to move out here, and they were always at the Stowe open houses, and they told me, they had a friend that's an agent, blah, blah, blah. After a year, they started calling me or texting me, can you show us this such and such a house? So I think, I know that we're taught to have buyer's contracts signed and things like that. Sometimes you just have to take a chance, and it's a long game. And these guys finally, I'd say when they finally decided to work with me, they ended up buying, I don't know, $800,000 house.
Wow.
And it was just basically me not being too pushy. I would now and then, now that I figured out what they were looking for, I would send them, oh, did you see this house? And what do you think of this? Next thing you know, like they invite me over for drinks all the time. It's amazing. It's amazing. And now they're like the nicest people, but they were just unsure. They didn't know what the trust level was. And so basically, Nina, to answer your question, it can be a long game. And new people that show up to open houses, for the most part, that are unattached to an agent, it's going to take at least a year. And that is from my experience. So they're just starting out. They're curious. They're getting to know you. And honestly, that's where follow-up comes into play.
Okay, but it sounds like they have been reaching out to you. So in my situation, and that's why I'm saying, like, did you ever come right out and ask them, like, why are you hesitant to sign on with an agent?
Well, did you ask if they were working with an agent yet?
I did. So I asked him if he's working with an agent. Like, I've run into this man so many times, like at CVS, at Whole Foods, at Ocean State Job Lot. And I feel like he's like, and then he'll, even when not that I'm trying to avoid him, please don't get me wrong, but when I'm like in a rush, and he has stood outside the store and will ask me questions about the market, and
oh my God,
what about this, and what do you think about condos, and so on and so forth.
Let me ask you a question. Is this a person that you want to work with?
I don't know, because he's so vague. I don't know.
Exactly. So what I would do, honestly, is now that we can sort of interact with people, I'm probably way too touchy. I'd probably grab them by the forearm and say, look, are we working together or not? What's going on here? I would just ask in a friendly, way.
Friendly, direct way, right?
Okay, so basically step out of my comfort zone, because right now I have a text from him, and he finally gave me, I still have no idea what his name is. I know that his son's name is Shrihan. So I have no idea what his name is. I can't tell what his name is from his email address because his whatever. And I did ask him, I only know you by Shrihan's dad. What should I refer you to as? And he didn't respond to that.
Yeah, see, I think you're going to have to weigh. This guy's going to take you for a ride, and he's going to manipulate a lot of your time, which it seems like he already has. And I would say if you're going to work together, he's got to show up that he has a pre-approval and that he's ready to go, because honestly, he's going to string you along and you're going to resent it. And sometimes it's not worth it. And also, you're also setting your boundary. And believe me, I've learned this the hard way, and you can ask Lorna about that. Just ask them and say, look, if you want to work together, I'm happy to give you information and walk you through all this. Otherwise, move the heck on.
All right.
Thank you I guess I just need to be more blunt.
It's not fun, but you know what? I bring this up all the time. The book, Fierce Conversations, I kid you not, changed my life.
Okay.
Just ask the question and be done with it. And then and then you're not losing sleep over it, and you're not wasting your time and your head energy where it just keeps spinning around in your head.
Okay. Thank you.
Awesome. All right.
I'm going to step out of my comfort zone, and I am going to be blunt.
I love it, Nina.
I'm going to check in on you on that.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, next we are going to talk about, so we talked about the benefits of open houses. Now we're going to talk about getting ready, right? The prospecting model. And so with that, it is prepare and prospect and pursue, right? So Jen's touched upon a lot of this, but I still want to make sure that we're talking about it. So preparing. First of all, many people will call around to their open house. So if Jen has an open house on Kirkland, she might call 50 people around the house. Now she may not herself do that, but that is what a lot of agents do, is they'll call and let the neighbors know. They'll drop off little door hangers saying, come see the open house, right? So they're interacting. Make sure that you're making sure people are not on the do not call list. I'm sure you guys have heard this already through Ignite, but just as a reminder. So preparing for an open house, you want to set it up for success, right? So this is what they recommend, and everybody's going to do this a little bit differently, okay? So I just want to put that out there. This is just a guide. Monday, figure out where you're doing an open house. So Trevor, if you don't have an open house today, like if you don't have a listing, you can check with people in your office. Hey, got anything coming up this week? I'd love to help you with an open house. And Trevor, I see you have your hand raised. So
Yeah, real quick on that, like this keeps coming up, that, you know, do not call list. On the bottom, it says, do not leave artificial or pre-recorded messages. And I know a lot of people use the dialer, which has that on there, and will leave a message for you if they don't pick up. So is that illegal?
if they're on the new do not call list, my understanding is you're not supposed to do that.
So,
that,
okay, so if
that's
they're on
why
the
it's
list.
important that you need to make sure if people are on the do not call list.
Okay, so if they're not on the list, you can use that feature.
I believe so.
Okay.
Check with your team leader.
All right, thank you.
Lorna,
That's my
if
disclosure.
they're on the do not call list, but they have listed in the past, so they were like an expired listing, and you get their phone number from like whatever, Cole Realty or whatever, just Google it. Are you allowed to call them if it's a purposeful call?
You're not supposed to be soliciting business with anybody on the do not call list.
Okay, so the answer is no, do not call them.
That's what I'm going to say, yes. I would say I would not call them. I'd send them a letter.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, great questions. You guys are, I love that you're interacting today. You're making me feel so happy on this Monday. So Monday, Trevor has figured out, he's called, and Jen Giroux said, yeah, I got an open house, Trevor. You can do it for me. That's awesome. Okay. So now he knows I'm going to do it at 123 Main Street. That's Monday. So Tuesday, he's posting online. He's got his call list of the neighbors, and he's going to start calling to let people know, inviting neighbors. Wednesday, he's going to post it online again. Now, I'm not, again, you're going to all make your own decision about how often you post things. You're going to get a sign in the yard. So if it's your listing, you're going to make sure there's like a little hangy thing that says open house Sunday, 1 to 3. Post Thursday, you're going to post online again. Invite your database. How do I invite my database, Maggie, to an open house?
Oh, you can do a quick smart plan really quick and send it out to everybody in your database.
Awesome. I love that. Anybody who's called, you're going to make sure you call them back from the sign, and you're going to email property-based internet leads, right? Friday, you're going to post online. You're going to prepare, like Jen Giroux said, market stats and comps. And you're going to print open house flyers.
Lorna, can you go back? So what did you say about, I think, what was it? It was
Monday,
Friday.
we're figuring out where we're going to do the open house. Tuesday, we're going to post online.
Yeah. No, it was, I think, either Thursday or Friday. I couldn't.
Okay, so Thursday, I'll go through it again. So Monday, open house identification. Tuesday, you're going to get your call list and let the neighbors know. Wednesday, you're going to make sure you have a sign in that yard talking about the fact that open house is coming the weekend. On Thursday, you're going to invite your database. Friday, you're going to prepare market stats and comps and print open house flyers.
Lorna,
Yes,
I have a logistics question if you don't mind.
of course.
The open house sign that goes with the writer. How do you get a writer that's specific to, hey, I'm having an open house Thursday from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m.? I mean, obviously you want to look professional, but you don't want to buy a new one every time you do an open house.
So I would say try to stick to I usually had open houses that said like Sunday 1 to 3, Saturday 1 to 3, Sunday 11 to 1, or you know what I mean? So you'll get like 3 or 4. I have seen where it's open house and you can write the numbers in very neatly. Everybody is a different way.
I have seen the ones like that where they have magnets that you can put
Yeah.
the numbers in there as well.
And plus, I think with the internet, my signs just say open Saturday and open Sunday. And then people just look it up on their phone for the most part. Because frankly, I'm not that on top of things to be writing the time in and all that stuff.
I love that. Hey, if you got the date.
I'm being honest. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. And this list is a perfect world, right? I would say that this is probably not happening every time you see an open house listed somewhere, but this is the ideal to maximize and prepare for your open house. Saturday, it says place directional signs and knock the neighborhood and leave a flyer, right? So door knocking around. And then obviously again, Sunday, if depending how often you do your open house.
So can I speak to the door knocking around?
Go right ahead.
Right time. Okay, so I my favorite thing is to meet people directly. So you spend when the listing's first going on, you spend some time there with the stager and photographer and things like that. So I was at this new listing with the photographer, and I saw that the neighbor was outside. So I ran over and I just said, "Hi, I'm Gingero, blah, blah, blah. And I'm listing this house right next door." And I said, "We're going to have I just want to let you know, we're having an open house this weekend and we expect it to be pretty busy. So I just wanted to be sure that you know that, and we are going to make sure that nobody is blocking your driveway. And if there's any problems, please just call the number on the sign." And the lady was like, "Well, that is so nice of you. What's the market like? I was there for 15 minutes. It was great." So then I invited her to come over, and she did not, but I'm going to follow up with a note once we have an accepted offer, just to fill her in on how many people came, because she's probably at some point going to be moving. So if you make it about them, and just say, and of course I am really trying not to annoy any neighbors, because I've had one call the police before and it wasn't pretty. So I really do try to take care, make sure they're not blocking mailboxes if your open house is on a Saturday, because people get all up in arms about that. And so it's just basically being cognizant of what the neighbors want. And honestly, every time I've knocked on their doors to tell them that there's an open house, they've been very appreciative. So
that's awesome. Trevor, what is your question?
The question is, and we have a lot of corner lots in my towns where their lawn literally goes to the edge of the road, and most of the signs, you just stick them in the ground. What are the rules? Do you go on and knock on the house and tell them you're going to put a sign there?
That's a good question. Sometimes I do, yeah.
It does depend. I mean, the open house signs, you could, they're tents, so you're not digging it in their lawn. You should, if you're putting it on private property, you should check. I got in trouble with, actually, the police moved my sign because it was blocking the sidewalk.
Yes.
At one point over the last few years. So you got to pay attention to everything that's going on around. And I think it's good, again, like Jen said, by knocking on the door and saying, "Do you mind if I just put this directional up for the next 2 hours?" Most people are like, "Yeah, of course." They don't digging it into their lawn. just hopefully it's not too
Yeah, neighbors are are key to your success, quite honestly, because they will talk, especially in this market. Can you believe, I had neighbors a couple months ago, they, of course, decided to mow their lawn during the open house, even though I told them the times, because they just wanted to keep an eye on what was going on. And then when they were done, they sat on their front steps and they watched and they watched and they watched. And then the other neighbor told me that they were telling everybody how many people went through. And so, you know, there's nothing you can do about it except for to be kind to them and hope that always do the right thing. And because they're going to be your marketing piece right there.
Nice to neighbors. So thinking about that preparation for open houses, you want to think about, well, first of all, that was a long list. Every single day it said post online. What are your thoughts on that? What do you guys think? Post every day? Terry's like, I don't know.
No, I would say no.
I think if you're posting, it depends what you mean by post online. You posting to different groups online, you posting to Facebook online and Nextdoor online the next day, that might be okay, but I think too much is too much. You know, maybe every other day, I don't know.
Well, I'm thinking about posting versus doing an ad, right? So you're in a sponsored ad versus a post. So I would agree with everything and say that it's changing it up. Like, so one day maybe you're posting it on Instagram, the next day it's on Facebook, the next day it's somewhere else, or it's a sponsored ad, but just making sure that it's out there as much as possible. That really is kind of the whole point of that list, is to say you need to be splashing it everywhere you can. And I will tell you, those sponsored ads, really, I'm always amazed at other people in the office when there's one person I'm thinking of besides Jen in particular who they will do like coming soon. So then I see the sponsored thing for coming soon. Then the next, I don't know, 3 days later, I mean, I'll still see it every day when I'm scrolling through. It's in my feed. And then all of a sudden it's new listing and it's active. And then I see another one for open house.
That's right.
Every single day. And it's so funny. I'm on like 2 of our agents in the office. They are like lead generation smart plan because I've clicked on it to see a little bit more about the house. And all of a sudden now I get emails and consistency. And actually one of our agents texted me within 2 minutes of me clicking on it. I'm so excited you're one of my contacts and leads. So she has a smart plan set up. So making sure that you've got that in place.
And also making sure that if you're going to do several different ads on the same property, just change up the pictures. So one's an exterior picture, make sure it's not the same lead picture that's in the MLS. Do some sort of like cool thing of one feature about the house, even if it's like just one thing in the house. It's as long as it's different and you don't want it to be stagnant and have the same picture.
That is such a great point, Jen. I love that. All right, so you got preparation on how to get it out there. How to also prepare is thinking about, and Jen mentioned this, the location, the time, the traffic patterns, and the local practices. So location, right? If it's a busy Saturday, you want to make sure that you are figuring out like, oh, we're going to have a ton of traffic because people are doing their errands in the morning. So 11 to 1 is perfect. Right? Oh, it's near the ball field and there's a little league playoff game. I'm going to do it 1 to 3.
Exactly.
So what's happening right in that area? And make sure you're picking the time that's going to work best. Right? So, and who else is doing the open house? Jen, I loved when you mentioned that. What's the competition doing to make sure, like if there's 1, 2 streets down, of course you want to do it around the same time and grab all that traffic.
And you also really are looking at your price to make sure you are not way over or way under, because that's not, they're going to immediately start questioning, oh my God, why is it so low? Or why is it so expensive when the other house has an extra full bathroom? And, You really, really, really have to pay attention to that. And that's another thing that I also tell my clients, my sellers, look, here's the range, and we're doing that, at the listing appointment or sometime thereafter. And I say that is a range because up until the moment I hit going live into MLS, that could change. It depends on what's coming on the market and what has recently sold. So it is super important to be aware of what's going on in the current market.
Yep. Jen, do you ever do commuter open houses?
No, I don't. Only because the town that I live in is the only way people get there is if they live there or they're lost. So it's not, I don't, I mean, I guess I could for people that live there. I see that there's a guy that lives in Stowe here. Jim, yeah. Hi, Jim. Do you agree with that?
Or apple picking.
Yes.
Oh,
or apple
you
picking.
know what? The fall is the best time in this town to have open houses. The best. I'll get cider donuts.
I'm coming to your open houses in the fall.
Orchard, and believe me, I throw an apple pie in that oven, and it's amazing. And we do get apple pickers that are just curious because they don't know, they've never been there before. So.
Yep.
So I mean that definitely works. So like location, definitely to like, hey, you wouldn't do a commuter's open house in Stowe, but you might in some other locations that people drive through quite a bit.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah,
yep.
Exactly. And traffic patterns, right? Thinking about the apple pickers, right? So if I'm putting my directionals out, even if it's not right next to honeypot orchards, people sit in traffic for a long time waiting to get to that orchard.
Exactly.
And a directional, even if it's in the other direction, right?
Yeah.
So thinking about making sure that people, how are people driving around that town? And how are you going to direct them if they don't know about your open house to find
Right. Right. A QR code would be perfect in that situation on your sign because they're going to sit there and of course they're going to look it up if they're just sitting in their car. One time my kids had a lemonade stand right by one of the orchards with their friend lived on that street. They made $40 because people were just sitting in their cars. And actually, this is totally off topic. I'm sorry, I'm going to say this quickly. I wasn't in real estate at the time, so I was standing there with my friend whose house it was, and some guy in a big SUV, it was like a beautiful fall day, rolled down his climate controlled car and he was like, what's it, how much is it in this area to live? Like, how much does a typical house cost? Blah, blah, blah. And I was about to answer him. And first my friend said, well, do you want to buy a lemonade from the kids? And he was like, oh, no. I just want to know how much it costs to live here. He said, well, if you can't buy from a little kid, you can't afford to live here. I was like, that's the best. That's the best. Anyway, totally off topic, but that's the kind of town it is. So there you go.
Knowing the events that are happening in your community that you're going to be doing the open house in, right? I mean, that's like apple picking. I know I had a subdivision that was right next to Narra Park in Akron. And so I knew they did a big 4th of July. So guess where I spent my 4th of July weekend? At the open house, right? So, and did a bunch of people come in? Not necessarily, right? But they all saw the sign and they
That's
all,
right, Lorna.
They were hearing about it. So it is just making brand awareness and making people know, hey, there's a new subdivision going in across the street.
I always say the ones who come to open houses on July 4th or the ones that come on or during snowstorms, those are your good buyers. Those buyers have to buy.
Yes. That's the truth. Yes.
Exactly. So, and, so really paying attention to all of those factors to position your open house for the most bang for the buck.
The other thing is, so on the location theme, it's sometimes there may not be a driveway on the property that you're listing, and let's say that the open house is going to be busy, or even where are you going to park? Where are your helpers going to park? Please don't park in the middle of the driveway so that nobody else can access the property. Take yourself out of the car and then set the example of where you want people attending the open house to park. There's nothing worse when an agent takes over the entire driveway in their, I don't want to say anything, never mind, fancy car, and nobody else can park. It's just, I just don't understand it. So just set the standard for where you want and expect people to park. And I'll leave it at that.
And thinking about safety, right? Also, you don't want to have your car blocked in for safety. And we're going to talk about safety before the end of the day, but that is one of the things they recommend is back in, make sure that you're in a place that you're park on the street. So that way, that, you know, I mean, you want all the buyers to have the easiest way to get in and make sure that they can get, you know, into the driveway. So,
and it also looks like it's well attended if you have 2 cars already parked there.
Exactly, on the street. So
right.
yeah, no, I love that. All right, so everybody, we're going to take a break at 10:30. So I'm going to ask you to hold with me. I know everyone's kind of starting to feel their coffee. Just a few more minutes and we'll take a quick break. So we're going to start with talking about the door. Any questions about this before I jump into the next piece? Okay, it all makes sense, right? So door knocking. So Jen, will you role play with me? So the role playing that we're about to do is located on page 6 in your participant guide. So I'm just going to knock on Jen's door. Knock, knock.
Well, hello, adorable Lorna.
Hello. Hi, my name is Lorna Helms, and I'm from Keller Williams, Boston Northwest. I'm at your door today because I wanted to let you know that Susie Smith has asked me to invite you to the open house on their home at 123 Main Street tomorrow from 1 to 3.
I didn't know Susie was moving.
I know, she's super excited for the next place in her life journey in her life. So I just wanted to let you know, please feel free to bring someone with you from work or a friend who may be looking or interested in buying in your neighborhood. It's always fun to pick your neighbors, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And by the way, when I find a buyer, I'd love to be able to share with them what people like about the neighborhood. Can I ask you what you like about your neighborhood?
I love that we're right down the street from the Apple Orchard and 4 miles from the South Acton train station.
Awesome. Yeah, that is super convenient, isn't it? And thank you for mentioning that train. You actually know the exact mileage. That is great. So I will definitely mark that down so I can put that and let people know. And if you were to move, where would you go?
Oh, geez. I don't know. I would love, actually, I'd love to go someplace where I wouldn't have to mow my lawn.
So thinking like a townhouse or a condo that would make it easy, or maybe a planned development where they'd mow the lawn for you, something like that?
Yes.
Yes,
Are there any on the market? I know it's such a crazy time right now. Would I be able to find a place to stay?
Oh my gosh, there's so many great townhouses in the market, depending on the town. If you have a few moments, maybe we could sit and talk about it or set up a time.
Wow. Okay, let's set up a time. You're good.
Thank you so much. It was nice to meet you.
You too.
Oh, Lorna's good at this.
It's good. Wow, I didn't even know what I was doing. I wasn't even thinking about moving.
Leading down the path, right? But that's what all of those scripts are. So that script is on page 6. So I want you all to find the script on page 6.
That's a good one.
Did everybody find it yet? Because you know what's going to happen now, right? My favorite thing, breakout rooms. So I want you to get ready, and I'm going to make some breakout rooms, and we are going to spend 10 minutes. I want everybody, and I'll let you know when it's halfway through. And once it's halfway through, you'll switch, and one person will be the agent and the other person will be. So switching roles, right? I'll send a broadcast. All right, and if you are in a room and that person can't participate or doesn't join in, I will make sure I move your room. So don't fret, just be patient, and I'll move. Is everybody ready? 10 minutes. Any question about what script we're using?
Yeah, I can't seem to figure out what what date. I have it open on another page, but I can't seem to figure out which, there's like 4 student handbook things that I got, but I'm not sure which one you're looking in.
Give me 1 second, I'll upload it again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
No worries. And again, if your partner doesn't have the script, you can start, and then when they get it, you can let them be the agent, okay? Everybody ready? Right, how you participate in here is how you participate out there, my friends. Have fun, enjoy it, practice. I know.
A lot of moving here.
I'm trying, moving people around, trying to. See. That's good.
I think the only one who's not joined up is in room 5.
I just moved.
Oh, you just moved there. You're good.
All right, we got this.
Yep. That was quick. You're getting better at this.
Yeah. Rooms. There's only 15 rooms. It was a little, or 14 rooms. It was a little bit easier. I actually don't even think that was in the script, but I just think it's important. It's a good script to practice. So it's not in my, it's not in my thing. That's okay.
What, the open house and door knocking script?
Yeah, it doesn't say they're supposed to practice. I was just supposed to role play.
Oh, I have it.
Does it?
Yeah.
It says it because I just see role play, but I don't see them doing it.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So see, it just
Fine, let them do it.
my own. So the next part after this is going to be prospecting the social ad campaigns, Maggie. I'm going to let you take that on.
Do you want me to show that? Or it doesn't have us showing that particular part in
I think you should show it.
Okay, sure.
I think it's important so they can like put the address in and see that you can find any address in your market center and do the ad. I mean, I think it could be quick, but
yeah, I'll do it real fast. Yeah.
You know, I just think it's about making sure.
And actually, let me grab the answers thing. So I'll put that in the...
Oh, and then down the road, it will be a neighborhood landing page, which we'll talk about for sure. I did when COVID first hit, I actually created the landing page with a QR code, and then it fed into Command, and then I would text people when they were allowed to come in the house because we were only letting one party in at a time.
Oh, yeah. I teach a class here for about how to do paperless open houses. It's one of those things that I'm really obsessed about. I love it. So
it's easy to do. And I mean, I've gotten back away from it, and I really think I need to just go back to it. It was so easy. And then all those leads were in my Command.
They just go automatically. And I have I found ways to have it go automatically and then have the smart plan start automatically.
Yeah.
So I really dove in deep into that because I think it's really cool. So
yeah, I love it. And I know people were doing it, and I had heard about somebody doing it with a Google Sheet. And that whole reason I found Command was I spent a Sunday morning before an open house trying to figure out how to make that Google Sheet and blah, blah, blah. And I thought, why am I doing this? And I went into Command and did it. And then I Googled how to make a QR code and put it all together, and that's good. So yeah, so we'll talk about that too. All right, so I think it was 2 minutes ago, so I'll give them a couple more minutes before they have to switch.
It's a short script, so they should be cool.
Yeah.
I was going to ask Jen if she does door knocking now. Door knocking is such an interesting subject at the moment with COVID.
I know, it's hard. And, I think I like door hangers or door knockers where you can at least just put it on there and let people know. But And I think people,
No substitute for talking to them though at the same time, you know?
I know, I'd much rather talk to them, but
Right.
that it is, I think you have to gauge everybody's comfort level. I mean, I did an open house this weekend and I didn't shake hands still. And I just not there. Like I'm pretty laid back, but that part for me was just an extra layer of, I don't
Yeah, fist bump.
Yeah, right. Hi, nice to meet you.
Yeah. Well, it's tough. Like everybody's got a different. I get it. It is. It's especially with the variants. It's tough. It's tough. You never know.
It is tough right now, and I mean, it's so. I just think about when we were teaching this class during COVID. It was so challenging. Like we can't do that right now. Like okay, I know, but we will get back to it. So
we'll get back to it. Yeah.
So, and I think it's going to change for the fall for sure. I would imagine it will.
I hope so.
I know.
So. I'm a people person. As much as I'm a high C, I'm a people person.
Are you guys back in your office?
Oh yeah, we're back in the office. I do hybrid. We do hybrid here, so I'll teach in person as well as put it on Zoom, so the ones who aren't who aren't comfortable can watch it over Zoom. So I've switched our whole entire thing over here. So
awesome. Yeah, we practiced our first hybrid. We did our book club hybrid last week, and it went really well. So Mike's been in our office, like getting all the stuff, technology ready, and so
it's very cool. I wanted to do this before COVID. This just moved it to now we're doing it because COVID made us do it. So I was like, oh, this is kind of nice. This is exactly what I wanted to do. So
it has worked out great. I feel like we'll never go back to not, we actually going through what classes we're going to keep hybrid and what are going to be all in person. And really there was nothing that was all in person. It will always be hybrid because
give everybody the opportunity. It's recorded in case someone needs to watch it later, all good stuff. So.
Yeah. When we talked about the recording versus not recording, what does that look like? And is it worth it? And so some of the ones we said we're not recording, like you actually need to be there.
I like that too.
Because what we're found is that people are like, oh, I can't make it, but I'll just watch the recording. And then how often are people actually watching?
They're not actually watching the recording.
Right. And so, yeah, it was a good discussion about like which ones should we record and which ones we actually need people there to have full class. I have win with buyers and win with sellers we offer every month. And we were finding that because they were every month, people were like, oh, let's go next month, or they'll sign up and not show up. And so those are the things that we're working on to make sure
creating scarcity to improve.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so tough. It's so tough to find the line.
I love it. And I would love if you need anything taught in your market center, please keep me in mind.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Same thing the other way too, because I'm working on my my certification.
The review's done. I know. This is awesome. All right, so when they come back, we'll take a couple of ahas, and then we'll take a break for about 10 minutes. Let people get coffee and waters and all that stuff.
Bathroom break.
I'll finish my breakfast.
I had my tomatoes already. My tomato snack.
Oh, that's a good snack. They're all getting so fresh right now. With all this rain, our tomato plants are bursting.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of green ones. I can't wait for them to get green. To get red. I'm like, come on.
We had a couple that turned red. Jamie was like, go grab one. I didn't do it. I let him.
The animals do.
Wow. We had a deer across the river from my house. From the backyard. And we were like, oh, look at the deer. And he said, just keep it over there away from my garden.
The funny thing is I grew broccoli for the first time. I went to go collect some. My daughter had eaten the whole head. She just went over and snapped off all the pieces and ate the whole thing.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute. Well, that's good. She likes broccoli.
Loves broccoli. Yeah, what 4-year-old does, but she does. She loves it.
That's awesome. That's like the only vegetable, like one of the only vegetables my daughter will eat. And she's 16.
Well, actually, I'll have to plant more next year. So
yeah, it's a popular one. Yeah, that's the one vegetable I buy every single week because I know she'll eat it in some form if I cook it. Hey, we just got to get the vegetables in. Good for her that she likes that though. She's 4.
Yeah.
Such a cute age. You should have, how many, do you have one?
That's all I need. It's just one.
I'm done. I always say 2 and through. That was good for me. All right, I think I'm going to give them a 2-minute warning. I know I probably went a little faster than I said I would, but
that's all right. I think they're pretty good.
There's not a lot of people, but it's great participation. It makes me so happy. Are these the only 2 that you're doing?
These are the only 2 I'm doing this time around.
That's awesome. Me too.
Yeah, I'm teaching. I got, like, this week I also have the tech Thursday as well. So.
What are you guys doing this week?
Designs.
Nice. And is it usually 2 of you or just you?
2. There's usually 2 of us. Yeah.
That's awesome. And what about the market centers that don't have an MCTT? Do you guys help them? Or?
I mean, Brooke usually goes in, like, that's, you know, when I was doing it, we would just, like, as an RTT, just like very hands-on and helping them, like, oh, this is what we need to do and all that good stuff. So, but Brooke is very, very helpful. She's an awesome RTT. So
that's awesome.
She's a great source.
Yeah, we've been really lucky. We have all of you talented people helping us navigate Command. We're so lucky. All right, I just gave him the minute. Gave him 2 minutes, and then I just gave him the, hey, we're coming back. See if they come back. Maybe they're not coming back. They all left me.
Well, their discussions are so good. There they come.
There they come. Yay.
I have good practice with Brian. He's a very good one.
Awesome. Nice. I'm glad to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
I like your shirt.
Oh, yeah, I love it too. Never give up.
Never give up. I have the mug. I love my mug. It says the same thing. On one side, it says never settle. On the other side says never give up.
Yeah, especially in this age, so many depression. We need to have positive mindset, right?
That's exactly right. That's exactly it. All right, I see everybody coming back. I'm super excited for that. And I love after breakout rooms, I see everyone's faces, which is even better. So I would love to hear some ahas from what we've talked about so far. I need 3, and then we're going to take a break. So give me from either your role playing, from what we've talked about. I need 3 ahas.
I met a new real estate agent that's out of my area.
Outside of your area?
Yeah, he's in New Hampshire and I'm in Connecticut. So it's it's a good way to network here too.
Exactly. I love that. Give me another one.
Yeah, my partner, Brian, is very persistent. So give me lots of information regarding the home open house. So very kindly and considerate for the impression part. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you. Sounds like it was really good. I love it.
Yeah, and my partner Abby, I really have not considered the, just setting up a meeting for the neighbors, if you would, like a barbecue, so that they come over, you have a barbecue, and you're letting them talk to each other, and also discuss the value in the neighborhood that you just put this house on for. And there's always kind of in this market a shock value of like, are you kidding? And then they see this house and they go, well, our house has a fenced in yard and our house has another bathroom and our house, so it's worth even more. Then they start really going, well, wait, we better talk to you or something, right?
Yeah.
So that's a great idea. And Abby brought that up about the barbecue. Right?
Awesome.
So that was good.
I love that. They talk a lot about either doing like an open house just for the neighbors and things like that. So I love the whole barbecue aspect. That's awesome. And so much fun.
Yeah, it would be.
All right. I think it was 3. Those were good ahas. I hope that you all played full in. Did you all? That role play, that wasn't even on our schedule and I still threw it in there anyway. You like that? I love breakout rooms. All right, so it is 10:28. At 10:40, we're all going to be back on this screen. So go get a cup of coffee, go get a snack, do whatever you got to do. And I'll see you back here at 10:40. Don't leave. Just put your screen in mute and black. And
do you want to stay on and I can answer that question?
Oh yeah, and Nina. All right, Jen, you don't mind doing that? I'm going to just take off for a quick second. All right.
Hey, Jen.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm looking for you. I don't see you.
I'm up top.
Oh yeah, I see it. Okay. All right. So what was your question again now?
So I wanted to hear about your first year.
All right.
And what it was like. And I mean, 4 years does not seem like a long time. And I know like you're all over the place and you have great listings and yeah, so I would love to hear about how that worked for you.
Sure. So I will tell you exactly what happened. So I was a teacher in Hudson, Massachusetts, and I wasn't loving it anymore. So I did get my real estate license, and my deal with my husband was if and when I had 3 transactions, I could quit. So the first day of my immediate next door neighbor, the day I got my license, I passed the test. I pulled into the driveway and I literally screamed out the window, "I got my real estate license!" So then we were jumping up and down and excited. She was having work done on her house where she had somebody come in and give her an estimate. So this was in August. So the first day of school, I was back at school and I happened to be at lunch and she sent me a text and she was like, "Oh, I have good news and bad news. The bad news is we're moving. The good news is we don't know a real estate agent. Do you know anybody?" So she knew I had 0 experience, like none. So we started looking. They bought their house first. So we started looking. They bought an $850,000 house. That was like
Wait a second. So she hired you as a buyer's agent?
Me. Yep. I had no idea what I was doing. Absolutely 0. And Lorna came with me too. And then so we had their new house under contract, and then they wanted to sell their house. So I had Lorna come with me to the listing appointment, and I just listened to what she had to say. And what it's basic. So that was 2 transactions in like a couple of weeks. So it was great. So I needed to get 1 more. So I started walking around my high school where I work, and I knew the other teachers and other people that work there. And I just started telling everybody that I got my license and that I had 1 more transaction. So my friend, the art teacher, said, "Oh my God, my aunt is moving and she lives in Hudson." She sent me her information. And you know how they always tell you to write those note cards? Note cards to people in the mail and put them in the mail. I wrote one. She called me the next freaking day. And so then I went to the house, had my listing appointment. She was interviewing with another agent. The other agent told her a higher price of what she could get for her house. And she ended up going with me. Actually, I found out when I was in Ignite, I got a text and she was like, "We decided that we really want to go with you. We felt a really good connection." She has sent me at least 3 other clients. So I'm telling you, I know that when you're sitting on, I'm trying to make sure Lorna and Maggie aren't on this call. I know that they tell you to do all of those things, like make your calls and send note cards. I guarantee you that they work. It's just telling people what you do. And I do think that some of it was luck. I really do. But I wasn't obnoxious, but I really went around to that school and told every single person that I was a real estate agent. And I have had 3 other, I'm sorry, Maggie, did you overhear me? No.
No, I did not.
So I keep track of where I get all of my leads from. I have had 5 teachers that I've worked with that I have helped buy or sell them a house. So
You had a good relationship with these teachers, right?
I knew some I didn't like hang out with. I just knew them as colleagues, and they still refer me to people within, when you're in high school, you have lunch with the same people because you have the same schedule or whatever. And this one teacher, somebody mentioned that they wanted to move, and they were like, oh my God, I'm friends with Jen Giroux on Facebook, and she does videos and she does all this kind of stuff. So she sent me 2 teachers just because I had a presence on Facebook. So, I mean, you never know. That's all. I mean, it's just, so let me ask you, Nina, how are you getting business, or what are your efforts?
So my first transaction was, I was a designer, commercial. So I was a designer, and there was one of the architects that I worked with that I remained friendly with. And so when I was talking, we talk like maybe twice a year. So I had told him that, he asked me what I was up to, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I told him, I said, you know what, this is a great time to refinance. Anyways, long story short, he didn't even own the house that he lived in. So anyway, so we started looking at 2 daughters, a wife, whatever. 2 daughters, sorry, that's my son. 2 daughters, a wife. And anyway, so we ended up looking for a house. We started at a much lower price point. And then his wife fell in love with this one house. I said, why don't we just go look at it, whatever. Anyway, so that was my first transaction, and that seemed way too easy. And I had just started. So I've had my license for a year this month. And I was working with, so initially I was thinking of just, because I work at a preschool, or I work at the Bedford Public Schools. And I kind of need to keep that position because it's only in the morning, and it covers my health insurance, which I'm sure as a teacher, the insurance is phenomenal in comparison to like what my husband would get. So anyway, do the people in your preschool know that you have your license? Not really. A few of them do. I don't have I'm not as much of an extrovert. I work. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. Honestly, I know a lot of successful agents that are introverts. They don't love open houses. They do them. But yeah, I love open houses, and I can talk to pretty much anybody. So then tell people at your preschool that you're an agent. I see. I'm just not like so much. I mean, just figure out a subtle way to do it. You could even
wear your name badge.
Yeah,
I'm gonna take it off.
Pins or something, and just maybe even when you're having a break or lunch, just say, oh my gosh, I went to this open house I worked at this open house this weekend, and just tell them something really cool about the house, and they'll be like, oh, you have your real estate license? That's how you get started. Just tell a story. Yeah, we don't get breaks, unfortunately. I get it. I mean, but no, I understand what you're saying. So anyways, I would love to shadow you. I would love to attend one of your open houses. Okay, that's great. Whatever, just because I want to see how you work, and just even when I was telling you about that client, well, he's not my client, but it's like, just go out and ask him. Yes, yeah. So I mean, and it doesn't have to be serious and threatening in any way. Just like, look, are we it depends on the client. You have to be politically correct, but sometimes I'll just be, are we going to date? Are we doing this? Are we, of course you make it clear that, you're married or whatever, but my husband wouldn't think too fondly on that.
Nina.
Yeah.
Don't forget, all those 4 and 5-year-olds need to buy a house someday.
I know. That's right. You may be in preschool now, but you'll be buying soon enough. Especially these kids. And their parents that'll be moving up.
Well, that's funny because the guy that I'm talking about is one of the parents.
See? Yeah.
But I think it's a cultural thing too, and I don't.
I'm sure. Yes.
Stereotype, but I think it's.
So Trevor's joking, but those parents, they might want to move to a better school system or a different school system. When their kids, they're in preschool now, and they might want to move to get their kids into another school system soon.
That's right.
Yeah. So I actually have to end. I can't stay for this whole thing, so I guess I'll watch the recording because I need to leave by 11:15 or 11:30. But I guess I'll watch a recording.
Does this go until 12:15? Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Around 12, yeah.
All right. I thought it was
Jen,
11.
I'm gonna read. Sorry, Jen.
No.
I'm gonna reach out to you. And if
Please
you
do. Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be great.
So, I don't know if I have you on my Facebook, but I will reach out.
Okay.
All right. Thanks.
I'm there. I'm on Facebook. I actually do this. I don't know if you can see my little background here. I do a weekly video called Still Place Like Home. And it is actually incredibly, it's a pain in the neck to do it every week. But I interview people that live in the community. And sometimes
I think I did see it.
It's fun. I mean, it's, I interview anybody really that's willing to come on, local businesses or people that are doing cool things. And now that it's so much easier now that I can meet in person and it's not a Zoom call, but it's really fun. You actually find people that are like, I interviewed a family of 12, they have 12 children. And they own a farm. They live in Stowe, they own this farm in Berlin. So we went out to the farm and they did Irish step dancing and they taught me how to step dance. Like, it was just really interesting. And they live in a colonial. They don't have a big house, but it had the most views, and it just introduces people that you wouldn't otherwise know in your community. And it's actually really fun. So there's all kinds of things you can do, especially, and I'm not the center of attention on those videos because it's about somebody else.
Yeah.
And then once in a while, if I don't have anybody lined up, which is recently a lot, I'll just do a market update or just talk about something cool in the town. And, they're not long either. It's quick 5-10 minutes, and because that's all people really have the capacity for.
All right, I have to jump in and harass you because, like, from the other room making my tea, I hear Irish step dancing. My daughter was a champion Irish step dancer. She had, she had to retire. She's 6'1".
Oh my
which,
God.
like, in Irish step dancing world, it's like gymnastics. The little ones that don't grow are the ones that peak out at like 15.
Yeah.
She danced forever, and she has bilateral patellar tendon tears. But she's all leg. Well, she retired, but she's away in Schenectady, New York for Camp Rikikul, which is all the river dance leads are the instructors.
Yeah.
And she's been a counselor for a couple of years. So it's been, I miss it. I miss the competitions, really cool. And
that's really cool. Yeah, I did give it a try. Not my forte.
Yeah, my younger daughter was like the same way, and she was like, this is her thing, not my thing. But she did it. She did it for like, 20 years, and
it's pretty cool.
It was a huge part of her life, but
All right, if you guys are ready to get started, but Brenda, are you from Philadelphia?
I am not. I'm from Northeast Connecticut by Yukon.
Oh, you have like a slight accent from Pennsylvania.
So my mother was from Rhode Island, so every once in a while I drop my R's.
Okay.
But yeah, no, born and raised here in Connecticut.
Okay, all right, never mind.
Right, Jen, I'm gonna have to watch the recording to hear about your advice that you were giving on the break. So I love it.
Oh, great, because I did say, one point I said, I hope they're not on. Just was talking about how really the system works, and writing note cards was actually the first one I ever wrote actually worked. And it's just hard sometimes when you're taking all of this information in to really think like, if I write 10 note cards, is that gonna make a difference in my business? It does. And the phone calls of just, saying my neighbor moved and they knew I was new and they didn't care, and it was awesome. So really, you never know when and where you're going to get your business from.
Exactly. I love that. So thank you for keeping everybody answering questions during the break. That was perfect. All right.
And then I just did a little stand-up routine, and it was good.
Oh, I love you. All right. We are going to move on. Oh, go ahead, Trevor.
Before this session is out, Jen has to do a little step for us too.
Oh, don't tempt me, Trevor.
It's probably on video somewhere.
It is. It's on my sale video. Yes.
All right. Well, so we are talking about preparing we finished talking about preparing, but now we're talking about prospecting, right? Social ad campaigns. So we are going to actually let Maggie show you how to do a social media campaign. So I'm going to stop sharing so she can share.
All right.
But this works. I will tell you, if you do take nothing else away today, do this one thing.
Yes, and it does work. I actually have a friend over in the Easton office who was doing these, and he sold houses through ads before. You're not going to hit every single time. It's just the way it is with internet leads, but you can start building your database this way if you know your scripts, and you can be able to follow up with some of them, and some of them might even buy the house that you're trying to sell. So, all right, so we're going to do this real quick, guys. I'm going to put in the chat as well after we're done here the answers article about how to do this, but we're going to jump right into campaigns, which is the little loudspeaker here. I'm going to click on that. And we're talking about doing ads. So we're going to do create a campaign in the top right. And we're going to do social ads, right? You have some other options here, but today we're talking about social ads. And you got to give it a name so you can find it later. Usually the name of the house is a real good one that you can find it later. You know what you're looking at. And what is your goal? What are you trying to do? Are you advertising the listing? Are you trying to do an event or attract buyers? What is your goal for it? This is just for your own tracking. I'm just going to say I'm advertising a listing here. And then you choose where the campaign is going to run, right? I think someone asked earlier today, like where you can run ads, and you can run them through Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, right? And you can choose which one you want to spend your money in. For today, I'm just going to choose Facebook, and I'm going to hit create the campaign. All right. Now, because I said I was doing this for a listing, it's automatically going to ask me what listing do I want to advertise, right? Now, if I don't have a listing, then I'm going to go ask some of my agents that I know in the office if I could borrow their listing to advertise, right? This is something, and a lot of agents don't have a problem with this. I do know I run the PC program in my office, and the agents are very generous with letting us use their listings to advertise for the program. I can always show all listings, and then I can go ahead and search for the listing that I am going to advertise. I'm going to just search this way. And I'm just going to pick one here. I'll select this one. Now, normally, I do have to say this, normally the pictures come over. They're having a little bug today. I've already reported it, so they're going to fix that real soon. So you can pick the listing. Normally the photo's already available. It'll always pull over the main copy. This is straight from your description MLS. It only picks like the first 250, 245 words, but I am definitely going to edit this, right? And the reason for that is because this is clickbait, guys. You're gonna find some reason for them to click on the actual ad. So you might change this to, this is a riverfront. This is great. I can just do start your day on the Charles, right? Riverfront property, right? Anything, not too much. I normally I would do a couple of sentences, but something that's going to make them want to find out more about the house. And then you living here, right? Anything, honestly, it's like clickbait. Ever see the stuff that makes you online, that makes you want to click something, right? That's the whole idea here. And you put a little description, click here for a video tour, right? And your copy doesn't have to be super huge. You can add emojis to it. Pick a feature about the house that's really outstanding, right? So this one was on a riverfront property. Like I'm gonna hammer on that, right? Something that makes it different, that makes people wanna to click on it. And we'll
Can I ask
save.
you a question?
Yes.
So going back up to the description where you wrote click here, right? Isn't that what you wrote?
Yeah, click here for a video tour.
So if you really do click there, would the video tour come up?
I would link, if I'm saying click here for a video tour, I'm going to link this to a video tour, right?
Okay, so you actually have a link in there.
So the link comes later. I'll show you where you put it in. But I'm probably, if I'm doing an ad, I'm usually doing a landing page, which we'll talk about a little bit later, actually, in open houses. I'm doing a landing page with more information about the listing, as well as a video of the tour of the house, probably. But yeah, don't say you're going to send them someplace and not send them to that place you're going to send them. Please no false advertising. Right. Also, just a quick mention here. Don't mention alcohol in any way, shape, or form. Don't say like, oh, sip your wine on this beautiful porch or something like that. That will get your ad canceled right away. You can't do mentions of alcohol of any sort in your ad, believe it or not. Facebook will flag it. All right, so back to media. Now, normally you would hit the media is going to usually pick from your MLS listing. Like I said, right now, there's just a little bit of an issue they're working on right now. So I don't have any photos right now, but I can always add an image from my library and I can upload it from there. I don't think I have, let me see what my pictures are. Oh, here we go. I have very funny, here we go. There we go. And once I have a photo, I will say, hey, what do I want? Do I want a square photo or a wide or vertical? This is going to depend on what kind of ad you're doing. If I'm doing a Facebook ad, I want square. If I'm doing a story, I'm probably going to do vertical, right? There's a whole bunch of different ways you can choose. Normally for best viewing, and it says it right here, a square, and then you just move the square around so you get the best view of the house, right? And we're going to save this image, right? And I always say do 1 or 2, no more than 3 pictures here. 1 or 2 creates movement, right? You can see there was a movement over here on the right-hand side, which catches the eye. But don't do too many because then they have no reason to click on the ad, right? So you want to make sure that you're leaving some sort of mystery for them to want to go ahead and pick it. So I can choose my photos. And then we're going to go to Facebook settings. And then I'm generally always going to pick Facebook. Oh, you gotta pick your page. Lead generation form. This automatically captures their information when they click on the ad. So I'll get with the information that they have in Facebook. So a name and a number and an email address usually. And so that will come over if I do the Facebook lead generation form. And then I'm going to say, what do my button, this learn more, I can have it say sign up or apply now. And then I'm going to put the URL in here. So I think Nina asked, where is it going? Well, this is where we put where it's going. And I can have it go to my website. I can have it go to a landing page. If I do a landing page, I can just choose it right from here. I think I have a few here, 123 Main Street. Or I can just paste the URL in here, any one of those. And then comes the audience, right? Now, this is kind of an interesting thing here. You can use the default settings, but I'm always into finding people who are looking for homes. That's like my big thing. I want this to go. I want to spend my money in a place that's going to make sense. Does that make sense? So I'm going to use the custom settings. I'm going to target usually the area around the home. You can't do less than 15 miles. That's just the way that Facebook rules are, to make sure you're not steering people. And then I'm going to go ahead and use my expert targeting options here. So what are their interests? Well, I want people who are looking for homes to click on this. So I'm going to type in Zillow. And it'll pop up. And I'm going to pick on Realtor.com. And I'm going to pick on, I'm not sure if Trulia's in here. I can't remember. Yep. I'm also, because it's a price, let's say this house is priced that probably someone's going to get a mortgage. I'm going to go mortgage here. I'm going to do mortgage loans, right? So I'm going to add interests that apply to the home, right? So if I'm doing luxury, I'm probably not doing mortgage loans. I'm probably going for investments or investment property. I'm trying to find people that'll fit my home. If I have something that's maybe on a golf course, I might do recreations for interests. Find something that fits your home that you can find and add to your interests, if that kind of makes sense. You're trying to find the right buyer, right, for this. And we're going to hit save. Now I've got now a better pool for my ad, right? This is a pool of people that are looking for properties. So that's what I'm looking for. And then in lead settings, I can go ahead and if I want to, if I have a smart plan ready to go for this, I can go ahead and say, hey, any lead that comes in on this, I want them automatically to go on my open house follow-up plan, which I don't have in here. But yeah, so let's just say I want them to go on my 5x5x5, right? So that means anybody who comes in automatically goes in on that particular thing. I can say auto tag them. So I can say automatically put this tag on them and start this smart plan. So that means it's totally hands off for me, but it just kind of happens.
Can you add add a new tag like 123 Main Street? So then that way.
Yep, I can do that. So if I type that in, I can hit and create a new tag for it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good question. And once I do that, I choose my duration and budget. Now, I've never spent more than 30 bucks on an ad. It's just because I feel like I get a lot of, if I do this right, I'm always going to get lots of people looking at it. For 30 bucks, I've gotten like 10,000 people looking at my ad. So that you can do pretty well with just 30 bucks in 10 days. Really, you don't need to spend a ton of money on it. So you can go ahead, pick your spend. You can preview what it's going to look like in your carousel. And when you're ready to go, you publish your campaign. And then all of your information, let's just say you've published it, will be in campaigns under paid ads. And you can see what you're getting for your leads, right? So I can see these are all the ads that I've run recently. And I can see what my leads are. And if I just click on them, I can see the leads that came in. And I can click on them and find out more information. So that's how you follow up with your people on your leads. Questions? I know that was very quick.
That is how quick it is, though, really.
Yes.
Literally just click, follow the directions.
Is there a feature where you can practice so you haven't, officially posted it, like a test mode, and you can see what it looks like when you're done.
So that preview button
Yeah.
shows you exactly what it's going to look like. That
Okay.
preview on that right hand side, that's what you're looking at. That is
Okay.
your preview. Yep, that is
All right,
exactly
thanks.
what it's going to look like. Yep.
And you definitely want to use that because that's usually where I catch something spelled wrong or, you know, whatever. So, and you can preview it in different formats, which I love. Like this is what it looks like on a mobile phone. This is what it looks like on a computer. So definitely play with that and practice. That's a great question.
It is a great question. And I get this a lot too. People are like, well, I can't see my ad. Like it goes out and I can't see it. Well, that's the point. You're not supposed to, it's supposed to go out to the people whose interest that it, and so it's going to go out to some other people you don't know. So you're not going to see it posted on your page. That's a different thing altogether. This is an ad that's going out to people you do not know.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. All right.
Maggie, if I copy this link that you posted in the chat, I could just use that to follow the step-by-step.
Yes, that is a step-by-step how to create a social ad campaign and answers. Yeah.
Awesome. Any other questions? Maggie, that was awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate you taking that on so I didn't have to do that part.
No problem.
You do it way better than I do. All right, so we are moving forward to, we're talking about setting up a campaign. You guys just learned how to do that. So now we want to promote and host it. I really want you to hear the word host. You are hosting an open house. When you are hosting something, what do you think of?
Party.
Party?
Think of a party, right? So have fun with this. You are hosting a party. You're hosting an event. So when you host an event at your house, if it's a party or anything else, what are some of the things you do?
You invite people.
You invite people. What else? You
I
invite. You cook. So we do have some agents who will bake or cook. That's great. What else do you do for a party when you're inviting people to something? You make sure the house is clean.
Decorate.
You decorate, right? So staging, making sure it's ready. You prepare, right? But you're hosting. When people show up at that party, what do?
You
Welcome them.
Welcome them, greet them, right? Invite them in. So I want you to think, I am the host of this open house. And how am I greeting people and welcoming them in and making an experience? Just like when you have a party at your house, you want everyone to have fun. You want everyone to have a nice experience. Same thing here. You're hosting an event at this property. So I really want you to think about greeting everyone who walks in the door, making sure people sign in. Now, there are a bunch of different ways to do all of these things. So start by greeting, right? Hello, how are you? If the front door is not near the kitchen, you should not be hanging in the kitchen. You need to be able to identify everybody who walks in the door. Having guests sign in. Maggie and I talked about this a little bit earlier while you guys were in breakout rooms, but obviously Gendro showed you paper. We have an agent in our office. His name's Curtis. He does little client cards and they're individual little sign-ins. And he writes little notes on the back. During COVID, I was telling Maggie, I used a QR code and had people sign in that way. Because especially in the real deep part of COVID, when we were just starting to do open houses, but really could only have 1 or 2 people in the house, was it 10 at the most or something? So I didn't want more than 1 or 2 parties in. So I would use a QR code, which would bring them to a landing page, which then I would text them when it was their turn to come in, because they would be dumped right into my command. And we're going to go through how to do that. But just so you know, there's a bunch of ways to have them sign in. There's also something called Home Pro. A lot of people like that for their iPads. And that also captures information and sends a follow-up email. So there's a bunch of ways to do it. Once they come in, we need to qualify leads, right? And Jen already talked about that. Probing questions. What brings you here? What do you like about this, right? Asking them lots of questions. And that's really going to help you identify if they're able, ready, and willing. Correct, Jen?
Yes.
Great questions bring great results. And the providing values. So showing them a neighborhood snapshot is one way to do it. What Jen said, having the list of open houses that are in the area. Share your app. That app is awesome. If you take 5 minutes and you say to somebody, oh, I didn't know there's other houses for sale. Oh, let me show you. Click location on my app. And now you showed it. Let me share it. What happens when I share my app with somebody?
They have your contact info.
And I have theirs.
Theirs.
That's the secret. If I give somebody my business card, do I know that they're going to hold on to that?
No, and that's actually a good point. For me, if somebody says, "Oh, okay, I have your card, I'll email you," I'd rather be in the driver's seat. I would rather have their information so that I'm following up.
That's right. And Jen, have you ever been in an open house and you have the sign-in sheet and you get home and you're ready to do the follow-up and you look at that number, you're like, is it a 7 or is it
Yes. Yes.
6
so
3?
I'll tell you a little trick for that. What I like to do is, this isn't the first sheet. So I write my name in on the first line when I start an open house, and I fill out every single line because people tend to follow suit of the thing that is above. So I fill out everything. I fill out my name. I check no that I don't have a realtor, my phone number, and my email address. And when you do that, everybody fills it out. But yes, sometimes there are people that their handwriting is illegible. And what I like to do is I usually, if I have time, I usually try to take a look at what they signed in as, who they signed in as. And if they list an agent that I know, I will always say, oh, Kristen Hilberg, I know Kristen Hilberg. Oh, she's the best, blah, blah, blah. And then you start a whole conversation with them. And then they're going to go back and say, oh, I was at an open house and so knows you. It's just all about making your world a little bit smaller. And then I can, if I can't read their writing, I just say, oh, is your name such and such? And is this how you spell it? And then during COVID, I would say, I just want to make sure I have your correct information. Should someone have COVID or there's some health issue that I want to be able to get in touch with you. So I don't say that now. Sometimes you'll get somebody that's like, oh, I'm not comfortable signing in. All right, that's fine. I probably don't want to work with you anyway. So it's, I do your best, because I often will say, the seller just wants to know how many people were here. And if I have any more information, I can get it out to you. So if you can, I would try to check the listing sheet or the sign-in sheet and see if everything's legible.
And I just think for safety reasons in particular, you always want everybody to sign in. COVID was, you could definitely use that for sure in COVID, because I just need to be able to get in touch with you. But I tell them the same thing. The seller would like to know who's here. Please sign in. It's a non-negotiable unless they sneak by me. If it's super busy and I didn't capture them, but I definitely lean into that a little bit more, because I absolutely want to know who was at that property. And especially if I get an offer from their agent down the road or something, at least I can connect the dots.
Yeah, that's right.
A little bit, you know, like, oh, that was the person who wouldn't want to sign in.
Right.
They were so easy to work with. I have 6 offers.
Right.
Right. So just a little extra.
So,
I love that. So asking probing questions. I really want to dig into this a little bit, Jen. So
Stephen has a question.
What are some
Thank you.
questions? Oh, go ahead, Stephen.
So it's I'm pretty sure this comes up with signing in, but how, usually you're working with one other person. How do you keep people from coming into your seller's house and not walking out the back door with their TV?
Ooh, that's a great
That's why you always have somebody there watching. And you also, a TV is a little obvious, but people are going into people's bedrooms. So I will always tell my seller, please take your valuables with you. rule of thumb is to have them have a laundry basket. And if they have a jewelry box, put it in the laundry basket. If there's cash or anything in their side drawers, put it in the laundry basket and take it with you and keep it in your car.
Valuables and prescriptions. Those
Yes.
Because honestly, that is a big thing. People will just go to look in the prescription, yeah.
I was just using the TV as an example.
No,
Yeah.
I know. I
mean, that would be kind of funny. I mean, good for them. Chutzpah.
I mean, people are, it takes all types. And that's why it's really, really good to have someone else present. And if it's really busy, to have maybe even somebody on each level.
Yeah, I agree with you. And this, we will touch on safety next, but for sure, I might as well just touch on it now. You should not be at open houses by yourself. It is that simple. I think about all the times I put my life in jeopardy, probably, and not, very smartly. So I know especially those of you who are like deep in the woods, who lives in New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, and even some places in Stowe, right, where there's acres of land and a big long driveway, right? If I'm screaming, do you think anyone's going to hear me, Noah? No, right? So the fact is this: safety first. And is it something that you should be like scared of all the time? Absolutely not. Don't live in fear. Be smart though. Put things in place. So everybody needs to know who's doing, where you are, right? What time is your open house, right? Having a buddy to do open houses with. A lot of people will ask mortgage lenders to come because that's an opportunity for them. We actually have a local mortgage person. Not only is he now a mortgage person, but he's an ex-state cop. He actually taught us safety classes a couple of years ago. So find somebody you feel good about. I love the buddy system. And honestly, if it's busy, it's so great because somebody's making a connection with every single person. But the other piece is, if it's quiet, now I'm talking to somebody, interacting and asking questions. Nothing is lonelier than being in an open house and for some reason it's slow and there's no Wi-Fi, so you can't even get on Facebook to do some interaction and you really lose. Noah.
You just kind of reminded me, I was actually having a conversation with the census taker in our area. And she said there was a couple houses not in my neighborhood, but nearby where she got greeted with a gun. So even just door knocking, like in the backwoods of New Hampshire, you never know.
It could be anywhere too. And door knocking together is so much more fun if say next week, Alyssa wants to shadow Jen again and Jen has another open house, maybe they go together because now it's just to do things in packs, right? The safety is in numbers.
I just know there are some people up in like the backwoods of New Hampshire that they don't want visitors. They don't want the door knockers.
If it says no trespassing, listen to that.
Live free or die, Noah. That's what the saying is,
Stay
right?
off my lawn.
How about kitchen knives?
Oh, I've never thought about that. I guess kitchen knives he asked about, Jen.
Oh.
I've actually never thought about that, David. It's actually a really good point, I guess.
Yeah, it is. And it's also a safety issue when there's kids coming. So, for example, we staged a bedroom and the bed is not stable because we have it on boxes. So in my head, I'm thinking if a little kid jumps on that bed, there's going to be a problem. So you really have to make sure, because kids do it. They jump on anything they can get their claws on, and it's just natural. So there's and even in basements, there's sawzalls and all kinds of tools that kids can easily pick up. And that is something that I also tell my sellers, please take out. Like one client had these big swords on his wall. I'm like, you might want to take those down. I mean, they're probably valuable. They're also a little disturbing for some people to see. So just when in doubt, put it in a safe for your guns or whatever.
All right, so couple
Former
safety
Marine
things for
probably
open
has
house.
his sword on the wall.
What's that?
A
I can
former
hardly hear you,
Marine-
David.
All right. A former Marine may have his sword on the wall.
Yeah, that is true.
Yes.
So
Or
thinking about safety, right? 2 people, right? Minimum 2 people. Park on the street. Don't park in the driveway. If you're parking in the driveway, park so that if you had to get out quickly, pay attention to who's in and out. That was a great point about somebody said walking out the back door. So making sure that you do know who's coming and going, which way they're going. You know, if, wait a minute, where did that person go? Checking the house before you leave to make sure there is nobody in it. Making sure all the drugs, any jewelry, everything is put away.
Pets too, don't forget pets.
Cats. Oh yeah, chased many a cats. Arthur.
I'm brand new, and when you said always have someone with you, if you're a single agent, what would you do? Pair up with another agent in your market center and agree if you do them with me, I'll do them with you, or
Yeah, get a buddy. And this
Yeah.
is for open houses, right? So yeah, absolutely. The buddy system is great. I love doing open houses with other people. It just, again, we're seeing 2 different perspectives. We're going to connect with 2 different people. So, uh-oh, was that a smoke detector? Did you just hear that beep? What was that? Was that you, Noah?
That was me. I wasn't on mute.
Okay. But so yes, Arthur, to answer your question, you definitely want to have other people with you. The other piece is, you know, at least in Massachusetts, you can have MACE without an FID card. So have that, right? Making sure that you have internet or phone connection available. Those type of that. There you go.
Oh, nice.
But so thinking about all of those pieces, and there is in your toolkit a safety handout. So make sure that you're going through that in the Ignite toolkit.
If I may, my background is EMS, as an EMT and paramedic, and it comes to things like mace or anything using for self-defense. You have to practice deploying it. If you don't, and it comes to a situation, you're going to fumble with it. You're not going to get it out right, and you may get it taken from you and used against you.
That is a really good point. Oh, I know what my other point was. I knew I was forgetting one more thing. Is let people go in rooms. Don't you go in first.
Yeah.
Right? Like let them go in like, oh, here's the, you know, take a look at the master and let them go in. You know, at open houses, I don't follow people around. I talk to them at the beginning. I touch base with them as they're hitting each floor, but I'm not walking around. I want them to like, again, have an experience. Jen, what is your protocol? Do you?
Yes, I do that. Sometimes if it's just one group, I get a little excited and I tend to follow them around, and then I catch myself and I go downstairs because you just want to share the cool things. And if it's a slow open house, I'm lonely and I just want to talk to people. Yes, they do want a little space. However, you do have to be careful that they're not opening drawers and doing weird things. So.
Yeah, I definitely, if they're upstairs and it's a quiet open house, I'm usually at the bottom kind of listening. Like, are they opening drawers? Are they, you know, what are they talking about a little bit, right?
Right,
so,
absolutely.
You know, if I hear a question, I'll say, oh gosh, I heard you ask about, you know, the leak is, you know, the stain in the ceiling. Oh, they had an ice dam and they are getting that repaired or whatever. So it's good to kind of pay attention. All right. So, yes, Jim.
So I went to 2 open houses this weekend. One, I worked with my team, and we had 2 people signing people up. It made it mandatory that they couldn't get in unless we wrote their name down. And it was so busy that there wasn't really time to interact with anyone, just very briefly. And then the other one was in my neighborhood. Another agent has a house for sale, and I went in. There was no sign-up sheet at all. I didn't even see one. She didn't ask me to sign up. She didn't request it. I didn't see it.
And so, Jim, I have a question for you on this. Which one do you think was the more professional way to go?
Yeah, it's interesting. And I know from an agent perspective, I want to get the leads that are coming in. Definitely. And I would want a sign up sheet, but I'm just wondering what was the mindset of not having one there, you know? I mean,
Not prepared. That's a not prepared agent right there. Right?
you might have run out. I don't know. But you didn't even mention it, didn't ask. You know, I told her who I was. She didn't ask for a business card, nothing. It was weird.
Well, if it's an agent, I don't always make them sign in. I will say, if you introduce yourself as an agent, I may not ask you to sign in.
That's true.
So
Yes.
if you didn't identify yourself as an agent.
That's true. Yes.
But if for some reason that I get there and my open house kit doesn't have any sign-in sheets, when of course then I'm like about to die, because then I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not ready. I just take the back of a blank like lead paint or something, write name, address, email, and have people sign in. So you can use anything, right? If you don't have a formal sign-in sheet, if something happens, because believe it or not, we're all going to forget that sign-in sheet or not have it in our kit. Jen, has that happened to you yet?
Not have a sign-in sheet, of course. Yep.
Trevor,
I've grabbed scrap paper and just made lines and because it's you should have a sign-in sheet no matter what.
Trevor asked if someone could write down fake names. Do you check driver's license?
I don't.
No.
No.
I've had people sign in as Donald Trump, and you know what? Clearly they don't want you to call them, so I just respect that. And you know, it's kind of a jerk thing to do, but
I mean, sometimes if you dangle a carrot, you can get better information. So if you say like, oh, if you sign in, we're doing a drawing or something along those lines, you might get better information. But you're always going to get that person.
Yeah, you are. And I just think it's funny more than anything. I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. All right, we're going to continue on. Great questions today. So prospecting, right? You've promoted it. You are hosting it. So again, the sign-in sheet, there's one opportunity here. I'm assuming that this is in the toolkit as well, Maggie, but I don't actually know that.
It's posted in chat.
So. You're awesome. And making sure that you create a landing page. So Maggie, I'm going to defer back to you if you don't mind. And if you could show everybody how to do a landing page, that would be amazing. Because this, I'm going to tell you what, during COVID, having no contact was a challenge. Oh my gosh, how do I get people's information? So having the opportunity to have a contactless open house is really important. And I will tell you, right now, as we all start, I think masks are coming back in some states. I know Jen's very sad, but thinking about how do I get people's information to do the follow-up?
Yes, and one of the things that I actually teach in my market center is how to do a paperless open house. So I absolutely love electronic open houses, but that's because I'm a techie nerd and that's just what I do. Before I get there, one person asked, Stephen asked about webcams and how does everybody feel about putting up webcams? It is illegal for you to film without the disclosure that you are doing it. So you do need to have a disclosure up and visible that says you do have web cameras in the homes. Just so you know, you can't just do it.
And also I always ask the question to my sellers, do you have, excuse me, Siri, do you have any type of device that is either videotaping or recording? Number one, I think it makes, because you have to disclose that there is video surveillance in the house. And I love that, excuse me, that we have to disclose that, because I myself, I want to be able to speak to clients without feeling like someone's monitoring me. And it's not that I'm misrepresenting or doing anything that this client wouldn't like. It's just, it's nerve-wracking. And my job is to sell your house, and I don't want somebody checking in on my every move, which has happened. And it's a real turnoff, and it's not fun. And also for buyers, it's creepy. And that's exactly what I tell my sellers. Look, it's up to you. If you want to do it, I have to disclose it. But I'm telling you that clients are turned off by it, and they don't feel that they can speak freely. And if you're concerned about safety, I will make sure I have an agent standing on every floor of the house, which has happened. And that's just what you do. You have to accommodate your client. But I do make it clear to them that some things are weird.
And I will also just add on to that is you should all get that not everyone's going to be honest. So you've told them all of this. They could still do it. And I tell all of my clients as buyer clients, when I'm in a house, like, let's not talk in the house about what your thoughts are about this house, right? Let's talk about it when we get outside, when we're there, because you don't know.
I love this house. I'll pay anything for this house. Let's get this out. Yeah, that's not good to know.
Put a purple tub in here. This house is disgusting. How come it's so dirty? I mean,
you just don't know. So just watch yourself and watch what your buyers are saying. And I usually just say, let's just talk about it outside. Yeah. You know,
or if there's a ring or some sort of device, I'll point to it as we're walking in. I'll be like, we'll talk outside. We'll talk outside.
All right. I know Trevor, it looks like he has a question.
Yes. So how do you handle, oops, what'd I do?
You're fine.
Okay, there you are. What if a whole bunch of ladies show up and they're just trying to flirt, but you don't have time? How do you handle that situation?
So it does.
Does that happen to you often, Trevor? It must.
No.
Just keep everything business, Trevor. Business first.
Oh my God.
That was a great question. All right, Maggie, we're going to let you take it away.
All right. Okay, guys. So one way that you can do paperless open houses is by doing a landing page to collect people's information as they come in. So this is actually a relatively quick thing to do in Command. If you're in Command and you go down to the consumer section, which is the last applet on in Command, you can come in here and you can, in the top right, create a new page. And we want a landing page here. So it's a buy yourself page. It's not associated with anything. And we're going to hit create a page. And I'll show you guys how quick and easy this is, because I can do this in literally less than 5 minutes if I wanted to.
I can even do this, Maggie. So that's how easy it is.
It's very good. So the first thing I'm always grabbing is the branded header, because I want it to say who I am real quick. And you'll see I can put the address right at the top. And then if I'm doing an open house with it, I do it a little bit differently than some people. I usually put the lead form in next because I really want them to sign in. So I actually switch it around. Some people put the listing in first. I like to put the lead form in first just because this is a sign-in sheet. So you should be signing in right away. And then I'll put information about the listing below that. So all I had to do was pick it up, drag and drop those 3 things. That's it, drag and drop. I can add other things too. If I really wanted to be super cool, I can add some stuff about the local area, stuff about me.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, you can do all sorts of different, like if you want to do a market snapshot, which shows them like what's going on in the area, a video about like a home tour, right? Because we had talked about earlier, you can add videos of the home tour if you want to do that, or something to have them download your app. All those things you can absolutely add just by clicking and dragging to the bottom of the page. For this one, I'm going to keep it simple, just these 3 things. Then I'm going to hit in the bottom right, it's going to say configure widget. So I'm going to hit configure the widget. And I am going to go, it says it's checked off, but I'm going to make a change here. I'm going to go to the branded header and I'm going to enter Test Street Open House Sign In. Okay.
Ah.
So it says right at the top, this is an open house sign-in sheet. Boop, right there. And then I'm going to do, so I'll save and apply that. And then the next one says interested, let's talk. I'm going to say, please sign in.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. So we're changing it a little. We're making this is an open house sign-in sheet, right? And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find my listing. So I'm going to go in here. I don't have a listing right now. I'm just going to pick one of these guys. Okay. We're going to go to, and we're going to hit save and apply. Looks like a nice little house in Iowa. Iowa, is that Idaho? What's IA?
Iowa.
Iowa. One of those eyes. Yeah. So and then that's it. I'm done. I'm gonna hit save and apply. And I'm done with this page. If I wanted to add more, I could, but this is my sign-in sheet. When I'm
So
done.
you use your computer then for them to sign in?
So
or your iPad?
So you could do that. But I find that people like to touch their own devices and nobody else's, especially with COVID, right? So one of the things that you can absolutely do here, let me save this page. I am going to call this 123 test open house, right? So that I know what it is, so I can find it relatively simple. I'm going to hit publish the page. Yes, update it. The free advertising for this woman's listing. We're gonna go to landing pages. Now, if you go to landing pages, it'll show you right here. Here's my open house. I can click on it so I can see what it looks like, right? What it looks like. Now, the thing that I'm doing is I am going to create a QR code for this.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
People are so used to QR codes these days because they're doing that at restaurants all the time. This is super easy to do. I just have to go to Google. And I just have to type in QR code generator. And I can pick any of these. Let's do this one. This is always the one I am clicking on. And then you just have to paste the website address there. So I'll take this, copy it, go to the QR code generator, paste it, and it creates a QR code for me. That's it.
So can everybody take their phones now and scan that so you can see what it does?
So quick question, Maggie, how do you know that people are signing in?
What?
So there's a couple things that you can have. Now I would have at the same time probably I would have my command up because I can instantly see when they sign in because as soon as they sign in, I get a notification that they've done it and they are now a contact in my command. So I can instantly, and if it's me, right, because I'm a techie person, I'm having that up. So that way I can see at the very same time they're coming in, I can make notes on them immediately. I can add them to a smart plan that sends them floor plans, whatever else.
All right, cool, that's great.
Yeah, so here's the QR code right there. Simple as that. You can do other things too if you want to get even more exciting. There are these things called RFID cards. You can grab one of those and they're just like physical, like business cards, credit cards. And if you wave it in front of someone's phone, it just automatically goes to their phone.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So, yep. Hey.
Woo!
Very exciting. Yes. I love this stuff. This stuff is great. And it's going right to your command. So you can go ahead, start that smart plan, start whatever. So it's immediately sending them information about the house. And then it's having you follow up with them immediately.
I love that.
So Maggie, I just signed in on that. So can you show the lead that shows up? Is that?
Oh yeah. Hold on. You just signed in?
Yep.
All right. Hold on. Pull it up. Getting leads.
I just want you guys to understand the power of this. I did this at an open house and then it would show up as a lead. And because we had COVID and I couldn't have a bunch of people in it, I would text the person from inside the house. I did have someone outside and, so I will say I had my computer there. I had it set up and the internet was funky where that was. It was in Northbridge, Mass. There's not a lot of internet. So then I did have to go out, but eventually they all got in and it was awesome.
So you signed in, you came into my contacts immediately. So what I do is here, I'll show you guys. If I go to contacts, let's go ahead here real quick. One of the things I'm doing, because normally when you go to contacts, it just shows your contact list. But if I create a filter for created within the last day, and I just have this up and I just keep refreshing it, we're literally getting them as they come in.
That's awesome.
Simple as that.
It's so
awesome.
I did it. I took the QR code and I put it on a page, and I had the QR code in the middle and said, please sign in. I will text you when it's your turn. And I added a flip snack thing so they could see the brochure.
So
they
quick
have tons of stuff.
question.
Sure.
To get your name on her lead list, you signed in, correct? Like you used the Q code to get to that page and then you sign in and then she knows that you were on there. But like I opened it, but I didn't sign in. So you didn't, Maggie, you didn't get a lead from that, right? Because I didn't sign in. Gotcha.
Yeah, that's a great
same way as if you like snuck by me and you didn't sign in my paper sheet. It's the same thing. Like they're either gonna do it or they don't. You just gotta be vigilant.
And it literally takes 2 minutes for the person to do it, especially if you do things on your phone a lot, because then my name basically everything auto populated. I didn't have to even think about it. I was like, bling, 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 done, in. Just all I want to do is get in the house.
So I have a question about the contact. So the do not call list is anybody you have that has not given you permission to contact them and that you have not had contact within a certain amount of time. Does this count as a contact that gives you permission to call?
I would say yes, they signed in. But check in with your leadership.
Check in with your leadership. I usually have people add a little bit of a text line at the bottom in really small letters that said, by signing in, you agree to have me contact you.
That's a great idea.
That's just me because I'm super compliant. I am the compliance officer, so.
Oh boy. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Palmer, you have a question.
Yeah, when you're doing this, are you doing this ahead of time, trying to get people to sign in ahead of time, or this is only when they get to the open house?
When they get to the open house.
Have you ever tried posting it online that way?
Yeah, but you don't know if they're gonna if they don't show up, then
Yeah, you don't know what they look like.
Sort of false information to your client, right?
Okay.
The sign-in sheet's all about who was at the open house, who should I follow up with, and that way I can say to the seller, I have 10 people that signed up.
Doesn't mean you can't do a landing page for your ad or a post or something completely separate. I would just flip them around, like listing first, then, hey, are you interested in this house? You can do the same thing and post it somewhere and then get those leads separate from the open house.
Yeah, landing pages are easy and awesome. I love them.
So Maggie, do you have QR codes on your business cards?
I do actually, but I have a QR, but I do for a different thing, but I actually have a QR code that goes to a flip snack about recruiting and things like that, but that's for my position, so.
Yeah, I think Mike has one, doesn't he?
If I could just add something, a good idea for QR codes, you could hook up your social medias and your website and your app all to the same QR code. And when people scan it, they could just have access to all those right there.
Yep, that's a great idea. I think our MCTT, Mike McPherson, he has a QR code that goes to his link tree, which has all his different sites that he's part of.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean.
Yeah, so there's definitely great opportunity. Like you said, everybody knows how to use QR codes at this point. It's nothing surprising. So I love the idea.
Yeah, I love how COVID made QR codes kind of disappeared for a little while, but COVID made them come back in a big way.
You can go out to eat. If you went out to eat, you had to use those QR codes or you didn't know what the food was.
Yeah.
All right. Everybody ready to keep going? Because we only got 20 minutes left. This day has flown by, hasn't it?
Yes.
I love it. All right. So landing pages, another way to prospect. We talked about safety first. We've already covered all of this. Park on the street, meet the neighbors, never turn your back, establish an escape route, let somebody know where you are. And I can't see the last one on the bottom. And charge your cell phone. Make sure your cell phone is charged. That is a really big one. All right, so then the pursue, right? Prepare, prospect, pursue. That's that funnel that we talk about all through it, connecting with people and cultivating them. So number 4, right? Cultivate. We're going to nurture them. Hopefully we're getting an appointment, but if not, we're going to continue to cultivate till they turn into an appointment. This is the long game. Like Jen Giroux said, this is not immediate. This is meet as many people as you can to get them from the connected to the cultivate and get the appointment to make them active, get them under contract and close. Who wants closings? All right, I better see lots. I only saw 4 people, but I better see lots of hands, right? So that cultivate piece becomes really important, and it goes back to the smart plans that Maggie was talking about, right? I don't actually know, we're gonna go over smart plans, but you all have you guys learned about smart plans?
They should have.
Yes.
And so let me ask you this, because I'm pretty sure we talked about this last time. Have you put yourself on a smart plan? Put it in the chat. Yes or no? I'm taking a poll. I should have made a poll. But in this chat, I want you to say yes or no. Okay, so I'm going to come from curiosity here. I'm going to ask a question. Did anyone ever tell you you should put yourself on a smart plan?
We did last Monday.
I'm pretty sure I did, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did.
No. So my next question is, what stopped you from doing it?
If I may, I have nothing to attach a smart plan to other than my name. I mean, I can send a blank email, hi, but that's, as things go, I don't have anything to attach to the smart plan.
Send yourself a neighborhood nurture, Stephen. Add an address to your name, in your contact, add an address and your email address, and then send yourself a neighborhood nurture so you can start seeing what that looks like.
Do you guys all know what that means? Because I really think this is important to understand what you're going to send other people and ways to utilize smart plans. So the neighborhood nurture is the first thing that I learned when we started Command, and I still have myself on a bi-weekly neighborhood nurture. So I get updates every other week in an email that shows me what's happening in my personal neighborhood. Do you guys know how to do that? Because and this is no judgment. I want you to learn. So if you guys don't know, we're going to take a couple minutes and learn. Okay, I'm seeing no. So Maggie, I can teach them, or you can teach them. Do you want to do it?
Let's do it.
All right, Maggie, go for it. So
all right.
It's really important. I hope you all are paying attention, because this is gold and a way to have a touch campaign with a client.
Oh, 1 second.
And since we're talking about open houses, if you didn't want to do that, if you don't know where they live, you don't have their address, I'm just going to tell you, do the address of the, if I just did an open house in Stowe is the neighborhood I'm putting in, or the town, and maybe a couple towns around it to give them an update.
All right, so the first thing I'm going to do here is, I'm just going to clear my filters here real quick. Oh, I can still have my filters on. Come on, there we go. All right, so if you do not have yourself in here yet, please add yourself in here. Create a contact and add a contact. Give yourself a name, an email address, and then go down to more information, additional contact information, and give yourself a street address. Those are the things that you have to have in order to be on a neighborhood nurture. You need a street address, and you need an email address and a name. That's kind of important. Once you are there, you want to also make sure you have the neighborhood nurture. This is also very important. So if you don't have the neighborhood nurture as a smart plan, head over to Smart Plans. Go to the library at the top, and then go to the Keller Lamb section, which is right here. And then you're going to go to Monthly Neighborhood Nurture and just hit Add Smart Plan. I already have it, so I can't download it. But if you don't have it yet, you'll have a big blue download button. So you're going to hit the download button. Once you've downloaded it, go back to your smart plans. If it doesn't show immediately at the top, you might just need to refresh, or sometimes you need to refresh for the new ones to show up. So you just hit the refresh button and you're good to go after that. So you can, at that point in time, go to, I have about 1,000 of these. So you can go right to the neighborhood nurture. You can add a contact and you can add yourself right here. So if I add, I'm actually on it like 15 times, so is my husband. So we just pick yourself and then add yourself to the smart plan, right? And then it should send it almost immediately, to be honest. So if I wanted to send this to me, I have no neighborhood attached to that one. So I would test that and hit add to smart plan and then hit start now and hit confirm. And then now you're going to start getting your smart plan every single month. You'll get the neighborhood nurture. I know my husband does, because every time I send it to him, he's like, oh, I can't believe how many houses are for sale in Holliston. It's just like the so yeah, so you can go ahead and add yourself to the neighborhood nurture, so you can kind of see what that looks like. So when you start putting your people on it, you can start to see what that looks like for them as well. All right.
All right. So can you go into your contact for a second, Maggie?
Yes. Let me just find the one that's got all this stuff on it. The danger of teaching. I have like 15,000 of me.
I do too.
Yep.
I have fake emails. Like I've done it all, because it starts saying you can't put this person in. Yes, I can.
There we go.
All right. So guys, one of the things I want you to understand here is if you see Maggie's neighborhood right there, we can edit and add more neighborhoods. So if you did an open house, you can go in and add neighborhoods around it. Just click on that add neighborhood and it will pop up. So like on my contact, I have 7 different things. Like I have one in North Carolina, I've got one up here, I got one in another town. So you can just search and add people on, but you always want to have yourself get that information first so you can explain to the client what they're going to get. Does that make sense? It's just like why you want to look at the app for that exact same reason. Look at that.
Question. Now, is this neighborhood nurture specifically for like the neighborhood they currently live in to keep them updated, or would you also add places they're looking to move to? So
both.
For one or the other, both? All right.
Yep.
Yes. Yep. And they can too. The cool thing is when they go and look at this stuff, they can add a neighborhood themselves. So if they start getting curious about places around them, let's just see if this loads. It's kind of quick. Yeah, they can go ahead and add a neighborhood in the corner, right? So they can go ahead and look to see if there's something that really looks good around them. Austin's bumping right now.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah. So, and it just gives them ideas about if they're not going anywhere, that's okay too, right? Because it shows them what's going on in their neighborhood, and they might see like, oh shoot, that's what the houses are going for. This might be a good time to move, right? And it's if they're looking somewhere, they can see all the stuff that's going in the neighborhood, the school systems, all that good stuff. So it's a good thing just to put everybody on. There's no reason not to put everybody on a neighborhood smart plan.
And so today you guys are going to all put yourselves. If you didn't do it last week, I'm going to challenge you this week. Still kind of raining out. Might as well get some computer work done. Get yourself on a smart plan.
And so I do have a question. Email automatically once you do that smart plan, because I haven't received an email yet. Once I added mine. Oh, it's every month. Okay.
Yeah.
So I did the bi-weekly for myself. So I have the bi-weekly neighborhood.
So you get yours every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks. Yeah. Stephen, what were you going to ask?
So let's say you have somebody like myself who I absolutely refuse to give out my street address because no matter how many times I tell people I can't receive mail here, they inevitably send me mail. So are you able to put in like a post office box and do it around that? Or is it strictly you have to have the street address?
You could do the town.
You can just do the area. Yeah. So when you add the map, like go find the area around where you want it and go add a couple of neighborhoods in that area. So they get it for that area.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Okay, that was awesome. Thank you. See, so again, I love that you guys were honest with me. So I want to say thank you for that, because you could have all just said yes and we would have moved on. But you said, no, I actually don't know how to do that. And we could take a few minutes to kind of do it. So these are great to add people for the open house. All right, so next we're going to talk about best practices, because we have like 10 more pages to get through. No, I'm just kidding. We don't have that much. So ways to stand out. Now, I've never done this, but host a speaker, right? Maybe a stager or a contractor if the house needs a lot of work. You could have somebody.
I love that.
I know, isn't that a good idea?
Yes.
Offering a gift, like a raffle for a local, here's a raffle to, like Maggie said, to capture information, to go to the local apple orchard, right? Here, put this in for that. Making sure that the house is in good shape. Don't rely on your seller. Many times, you might want to have some bleach wipes or some paper towels in your open house kit. I have swept houses. I have wiped counters down that are sticky. You've done it all. And that is what you got to do to make sure the house is ready. You want it to show its best. And not everybody lives quite the same way, right? So going and making sure it's ready, and then going live, Facebook Live, my friends. We got something that, you did. I didn't have this, but if you're, hey, I'm at 123 Main Street, come join me today. This 3-bedroom, 2-bath Cape has got this spectacular kitchen. And then don't forget, come join me, and say the address again and hang up. Like it's just a little quick bloop on Facebook. Has anybody ever done a Facebook Live? So scary, because the little camera comes up and it shows you like it'll say connecting, and it goes 3, 2, 1, and then it comes live. But the cool thing is that you can kind of get the camera ready. You see what's happening, so you don't just push it and it goes live automatically. It gives you a little bit of time. It lets you put a title like "Join me at the open house." So there's great opportunities to make sure that you guys can let people know where you are. Again, and I've got my best friend here, so that way they know you're not alone. Just saying, you can't really have your best friend. It has to be your best agent friend. You guys okay? Is everybody still awake? All right, so then if you're all awake, do this. I'm awake, I'm awake, I'm awake. I'm awake, I'm awake, I'm awake. All right, I see you're all awake. That's good. All right, we're gonna finish up. I know it gets to be long. So best practices: welcoming visitors at the door. Get the house ready. Think safety. Don't leave valuables exposed. This includes your phone, your pocketbook, your wallets. Make sure you've just got that stuff all put away. If you're going to have a snack, don't have it be like a crumbly, messy thing that people are walking around with. Something neat and clean, like a chocolate chip cookie that they get on the way out. Don't give out cookies that they're then going to walk around and make a mess. And don't make assumptions. Oh, this is one of my favorites. Can I tell you a story? All right, so we had one of our top agents in the office. She had gone out and done neighborhood door knocking, right? First time she'd ever done it. So her and her buyer agent were at the open house, and it's getting like 10 minutes before the end, and they're getting ready, and they see people pull up on their bikes, and they're like, ugh, whatever, So they didn't even think about it. They didn't take them seriously. It was one of the neighbors who was renting and ended up buying the house. But automatically first judgment was like, oh, we're not wasting our time. So don't judge. You don't know.
Yes, that is true. I actually also factor in, I give myself an additional hour after the open house, because there's always that person that shows up right as you're locking up. And one time, as I was turning the lights out, someone pulled up, and the guy got out and said, oh, sorry, I guess this is the end. And I'm like, come on in. And as he walked in the door, he was like, you just got yourself a new buyer and a seller. just from letting them in the house, because I mean, I said, well, it's my job. Well, I'm here to sell the house. It's not like I want to turn people away. So I do always tell my client to give me an additional 45 minutes to an hour in case somebody stays longer or whatever, because you never know.
Jen, I love that you tell your clients that, because how many times I've had sellers show up at 3:05 and there's still people, or they're driving by texting me, we're here and we see cars in the driveway. Yeah,
I know. I know.
We got people here. That's a good thing, right? So, oh, popsicles on a hot day outside when they're leaving, not in the house. I do think that's a good idea, though. Oh, success kit. Some of the things we already talked about, so much of this already. Ooh, trash bags. That's a really good one. I should put that into my open house kit, especially with booties.
Yep.
Paper towels, toilet paper, wipes, pens.
Well, I just want to mention, be careful with those booties. There's actually been a rash of people suing because they've slipped on their booties.
Oh God, really?
Yeah. So.
Oh boy.
It's just better. Just have them take off the shoes.
And then they slip in their socks and it's still our fault.
No, right?
I'm just saying.
Oh, come on.
You know,
oh my God.
Oh, air freshener. Ooh, that's a good one. Don't get like stinky air freshener that smells like, oh gosh, what are they hiding?
Bake cookies ahead of time in the
oven.
Cookies and apple pie. It's always a win.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, Noah?
I was gonna ask. I was kind of thinking on the idea of like baking a pie or whatever. I enjoy like smoking meat. So if you have like a big patio in a house, I could spend my day making my own pulled pork for myself, but like putting the smell out there around the neighborhood.
Love it.
Great idea.
I'm coming to your open house too.
That sounds awesome.
There's actually agents out there who have a very specific scent that they put in their open houses, so much so that they actually have a fragrance that they sell, believe it or not. Like,
oh my gosh.
Yes, I am not kidding. This is one of the larger teams here in Massachusetts.
Wow.
They have a very specific scent that they have at their open houses.
Well, mine will be beef.
I love it.
Noah.
Bacon, Noah.
Noah's from New Hampshire, so we're like hunting capital, right, Noah? So you got to aim your audience.
Yep.
And that is such a great point. Know your audience. That's awesome. So follow up.
The new fresh scent from New Hampshire, fresh dead possum.
Could you use a scented candle?
Yeah.
So I know everyone's half joking around, but if you want to create the aroma that someone's baking or something, just a couple of drops of vanilla on the burner of a stove for a couple minutes and turn it off.
Yeah,
Fill
that's
the house
good.
with the smell. They say that vanilla is one of the most used scents, or it was originally used the original perfume to attract people.
That's cool.
Wow, that's awesome. That's such a good idea.
I would also be careful with candles, because with little kids around, and if somebody knocks one over and.
Yeah, if you're gonna do that, get one of the ones that warms it instead of actually lighting the fire.
Yeah.
That's a good point. All right, and then the follow-up, as Jen pointed out and Smart Plans talks about, just making sure you're doing the follow-up. So your lead generation, which is your open house that we're talking about today, you're getting leads and making contacts, right? And having two-way connections. So you want to make sure you're connecting with people and cultivating, so that way you don't just meet them once and that they never see you again. The success is in the follow-up, everybody. And that, Jen, I just heard that loud and clear at the beginning. Like, I always follow up. So your open house ends at 3. Your day is not done, my friends. Right? That's when you are doing the follow-up. If you said you were going to send somebody information, if you are putting them on Smart Plans, making sure everybody's raring to go. And that way you're able to give your seller really good feedback. Anything to add to follow up on that, Jen?
It's just really, 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 really important. And I'll be honest with you, it's not my favorite thing to do. But if you make a connection with somebody and you don't follow up, they will not remember you.
Yeah. It is the follow-up. It really is. So why do you think that this is a cylinder shape? Do you notice that when you get down to the bottom and it says close, it doesn't end. It goes back up here into staying connected and cultivating, right? So it's just continually going back in and out, in and out, in and out, filtering. So that is the secret to your success, is the follow-up. So learning smart plans at a high level is going to be a huge investment in your business. And you know what, that when I say investment, what I mean? Time. It's going to be short time to learn it and huge return. Huge return. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we, believe it or not, that is the end, is the follow-up. So you guys lucked out because we did a ton of talking today, that you don't do lead generation with me today, but you are going to do it on your own when we're done.
On your own.
What'd you say, Maggie?
So they're going to do it on their own today, though.
Of course they are. But before you leave me, I have a few questions. Yes, Arthur.
One question on where you said, you know, you did the Facebook Live. You said I'm with my best friend, and you said no, it can't be your best friend. It has to be another agent. What if you don't have another agent to go with you? Can you bring somebody with you, or they have to be licensed?
So this is going to be state by state. I don't know the rules of other states. So for Massachusetts, if somebody is speaking
That's where I
with
am.
a client, you do need to have a license.
You cannot talk about real estate.
They cannot talk about real estate. So I have told my agents, absolutely, your husband can't be there, your spouse, your partner, your best friend. It needs to be another agent, or in other cases, having a mortgage person who can talk about mortgages.
Right.
That's fine. But I really would shy away from having family and friends there. It's not as professional.
Agreed. Yeah.
All right. Are there any other questions? So before you all leave me, I see people jumping off. I want you two things. I need 3 ahas. That's the first thing. So who can give me 3 ahas?
Aha, I need to work on command.
Aha, I need to work on command. I love that. Who else?
I really like the idea of a scent or something to draw people in, because like, I'm just thinking barbecue. If somebody has a big back patio area where they could host an event where maybe you're grilling, maybe you bring your own grill, make hamburgers, hot dogs, just the idea they can see themselves hosting an event at that house. Or the pies, somebody can see themselves baking apple pie in the fall time. Like, that's a good idea to me.
Just be careful that you're not spending your time making hamburgers and hot dogs and not greeting people at the door. That's all.
I was just going to say hire. That is where you could have somebody at the grill, like doing it for you, right? And you can be the one hosting. All right, one more, my friends.
Not giving snacks until they're done.
That's right. Not walking through the house with that hamburger. That would be messy.
Yes.
Don't want
What
ketchup
about it?
on that white couch.
Oh,
And so thinking about QR codes, I would appreciate the region is looking for feedback. So if you will use your QR code and scan this and let them know that Lorna Helms, Maggie McDowell, and Jen Giroux were your hosts today, I would appreciate it. Let me know when you've got this QR code, my friends. Everybody get it? All right, I see a thumbs up. So just take your phone and scan it. All right. Everyone got it? All right, I'm going to stay on for a few extra minutes if people have questions. Otherwise, I'll tell you all, get your lead generation in, your daily 10-4. Thank you to Jen Giroux. She's awesome, and I really appreciate you jumping on today. Maggie, thank you always for all your technical support.
thank you, ladies.
Monday.
Thank you very much.
Bye, everybody.
That was fun.
Thank you.
Thank
Lorna,
you.
I'm gonna make you the host.